And now, it's time for Southern California's sports fishing voice. Let's talk hookup. For the next 2 hours, join Pete Gray, Rock Cod Rick Maxa, Cory Sanden, and this week's special expert guest for fishing information, new techniques to catch more fish, and the most current scoop on what's happening in the water. Let's Talk Hookup is sponsored in part by Ford, the official truck of Let's Talk Hookup, and Shimano Rods and Reels. Fish with the best. Shimano. Get ready for the fastest 2 hours on radio with the hosts of Let's Talk Hookup, Pete Gray, Rock Cod Rick Maxa, and Cory Sanden.
Good morning, anglers, and welcome to Let's Talk Hookup. I'm Pete Gray with Cory Sanden standing in for Ricky today, and we have a great show for you here from the world headquarters of Let's Talk Hookup here, right next to the San Diego Landings in Point Loma. Steve Oropeza from Promar and Pablo Fernandez from Fernandez Charter is going to be a great show. Talking lobster today. Yes, it is that time of the year, so you stay tuned. This is Southern California's sport fishing voice. It's Let's Talk Hookup on the Let's Talk Hookup app, Sports Grid Radio Network, and 1090 AM. Inside information is everything when it comes to catching fish in Southern California. You need a code group to connect with what's happening on the water. Fishdope.com is your code group. Inside information available at your fingertips 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Fishdope.com really does help you catch more fish and burn less fuel. Fishdope.com is the only fish finding service with a spotter plane, along with a crew of top anglers on the water almost every day that report actual locations and catches. They become your code group. You get daily catch reports from Point Conception to San Quintin, 365 days a year. Fishdope.com has online plans, temperature and chlorophyll charts, hot bite icons, and more. Take it from me, if you don't have Fishdope.com, you're not part of the in-the-know crowd. Membership is affordable and good for an entire year. Plus, use the special code and save $30 on a new Fishdope.com membership. Check it out today. Fishdope.com. Catch more fish, burn less fuel.
Captain Jamie Tennis from Season Sport Fishing here. For the past few seasons, a dart-style metal jig has come into play in a big way for tuna offshore or even rockfish down deep. AFCO's crossbreed jig has quickly become the go-to for many since it came onto the market. AFCO's crossbreed jig is good to go right out of the package with a 4X treble hook, heavy-duty split rings, West Coast colors, and sizes 60 gram to 120 gram. Pick one up today at your local tackle store or learn more on AFCO.com.
The Make It Ford Summer Sales event is on. Visit your San Diego County Ford dealers now and make it your best summer yet. Amazing offers and great selection of the best-selling trucks in America for 47 years. Ford F-Series, featuring gas, hybrid, or all-electric. These are deals you've been waiting for. So don't wait. Make it Ford. Make it yours. Make it now. Only at your San Diego County Ford dealers. They'll be glad to hook you up.
All right. Good morning. Welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup and lobster season already.
Can you believe it, Cory?
I can't.
Wow, it's first day of fall.
Right, it is. You're right. This morning.
So fall comes lobster season, right?
Crazy.
Right, Steve?
That's right.
Great to have you.
Great to be here.
This is your time of the year, right? At Promar.
Exactly. Yeah, we're getting geared up for this season. One more week on Friday, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
6 p.m. on Friday, and there's a regulation there that the Department of Fish and Wildlife, Eric, yesterday mentioned, and I wasn't aware of it, but you were, that there's no more saying, "Oh, I'm actually fishing for crab," and putting your nets in, right?
I'm protecting my area.
So you could crab 365 days. So a lot of guys will try and take advantage on the opener and say, "Oh, I'm just crabbing." But now everybody needs to be aware that you cannot put your hoop net in the water for 24 hours before 6 p.m. on the 27th. So from the 26th at 6 p.m. to the 27th at 6 p.m., no hoop nets in the water unless you want to get a ticket.
Yeah. And they'll be watching.
Exactly.
He said yesterday they're going to be out in force, especially opening night.
California Fish and Wildlife love their spiny lobster.
Yes.
So on that opener, you better bet they're going to be out there and looking for anyone who's not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and they've done an excellent job managing the resource too. That's why it's so good.
Exactly. Yeah. Especially, last year, our neck of the woods, the Long Beach area, it was the best year probably in 10 years.
Wow,
and I know a lot of it has to do with these guys being out there enforcing the laws and making sure everybody's doing the right thing.
Yeah, for sure. So Pablo is one of your pro staff guys. Good morning, Pablo.
Good morning.
Yeah, great to have you. Go ahead, step right up to that mic. And so you run a company called Fernandez Charters, right?
Yes, sir. We're out of Mission Bay,
Yeah.
out of Seaforth in Mission Bay.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, I have a couple boats I run out of there. And one of the highlights is obviously being a pro staff member here with Promar.
Sure.
Steve takes care of me with all the equipment, all the supplies, everything needed for hoop netting and everything else for inshore, offshore fishing, everything.
Yeah. And so you fish mostly around Mission Bay?
I
For
fish,
lobster?
yeah, mostly I run out of Mission Bay for lobster, and then I do fish inside of the harbor. And I also have, of course, the honey holes outside of the harbor between here and there, between Point Loma and Mission Bay.
Sure.
And even further north. I mean, we all have our honey holes. We all have our favorite places to go and just kind of maneuver around and go from spot to spot, and whatever's working, we just load up there.
Yeah. And especially we have 5 days is it between the opening of commercial season and recreational season?
Yeah, I think is it 4? I think.
It varies every year.
Right? Yeah.
I think it depends on the survey, I believe, but typically it's around 4 or 5 days, about a week.
I think Eric Cord yesterday said 5 days, but that's at 6 p.m., right?
Right.
Is day one. So it's kind of, and then they bait the traps
the day before
the commercial guys can fish, right? So it's really
3.5, 3 days.
Yeah. So
you get Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, basically. So it is 4 days.
So I kind of figured it's 4 days, and then I love those 4
That's
days.
when your honey holes outside are really good, right?
So
as good as
I don't want to
gets.
give away too much strategy here, guys.
Yeah,
but
no,
let's just
I get
say
it.
You have to take full advantage of those 4 days.
Yeah,
and we'll leave it right there.
Because once those commercial guys get baited up, it makes it a little tough out there.
Yeah, exactly. And then, but you know what? There's plenty of lobster out there. And everybody says, "Oh, there's no lobster in Mission Bay." I'm like, "Oh,
okay,
okay, cool."
Yeah,
right. I know. Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah.
So, and then of course you do regular charters too for Coronado Islands, Catalina, offshore, whatever, right?
Yeah, we do it all, inshore, offshore, even inside of Mission Bay, going after whatever halibut, and spotties, and
bay fishing,
all kinds of fun stuff. But yeah, we like to do La Jolla, Point Loma, Coronado Islands is so easy, and it's such a fun trip.
Yeah,
I do that,
especially this year.
Yeah, probably 85% of my trips are Coronado Island trips.
Nice, fantastic.
Yeah, and then I also do guide service for Dave Hansen.
Okay.
Work
with Dave.
And that's one of our So I know Dave's been here in the last few months, and I dropped him off actually one time. And so that's been a huge blessing too, just getting involved with him and doing the guide service. And I've forged some friendships through that. And I actually met Steve through doing all that stuff. So yeah, hats off to Captain Hansen.
Yeah,
all that.
Dave's a great guy for sure, and big Promar supporter, of course, as we are too. But so, what's new at Promar?
So this year, we have new seal-proof bait cages. So in the past few years, in the past few years, we've had our kind of staple, the white one there with the PVC and the holes and everything. And over the last few years, we've got a lot of requests for something that was a little bit more camouflage from the sea lions to prevent them from seeing them down there. So we did something with.
Did you bring one?
I didn't.
Oh,
actually.
Okay. Yeah. Show and tell here.
We can draw you a picture.
We've been trying to get them done as fast as possible, but they don't arrive actually until tomorrow. Tomorrow's when we'll have them, so they'll be ready after tomorrow. Unfortunately, I didn't have one today.
Along the same lines as what's available, but they're more camouflage.
Not only that, but I don't know if you guys. I know you use them, Pete.
Yeah,
I know Pablo uses them, but one thing that I've found when I'm using them is the clip is sometimes a little difficult to handle when you're wearing gloves.
Yes.
So we made the clip bigger.
Oh, perfect.
So if you're wearing gloves, they're a lot easier to clip on and off.
Especially if you're using the heavy.
Exactly. Yeah, that heavy has a big ring on the bottom. So these clips are big and they'll be able to handle that thicker ring. And then also if you're wearing gloves when you're doing it, it makes it really easy to clip them on and clip them off.
Oh, that's great news.
The clips have been upgraded, and then the color is also upgraded in that camouflage Promar blue.
Fantastic.
So it's going to be a lot better for you guys when you guys are being harassed,
which is pretty... It's
common.
the standard, right?
Yeah.
God, what a part of the game.
What a pain. I mean, how in the heck do you? I mean, you want fresh bait, right? Because that attracts a lobster. But then again, it's also like, it's attracting the the fur, as
Yeah.
we could say.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much you can do. Those things are protected. I mean, we can't really do much. All we can do is just hope that our lobsters get in there before the sea lions do.
Yeah.
And try to do everything that we can to make that happen.
So speaking of fresh bait, when you're hooping,
Yeah.
I know you're an avid hooper. How often do you change your bait, or do you refresh your bait? Shall we say?
It depends. Early in the season, I actually don't even have to refresh my bait for the most part. Early in the season, within the first set, if I'm by myself, I for sure get a limit. And if I bring one of my buddies, then maybe we'll get a limit on our first set, first 10 hoops.
Wow.
If not, then in the second set. But typically, I don't have to redo the bait too often.
Nice.
Later in the season, as things slow down as far as the crawl, I'll make sure to bring enough bait so that I can rebait all my hoop nets, my 10 hoop nets, at least 2 times. So I'll probably bring enough bait to do 30 bait cage, seal-proof bait cages.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'll be able to rebait all my hoops 3 times.
So you just load all at the beginning, and then so you don't waste time rebaiting, you're just like changing it out.
Exactly. Yeah. I have 30 seal-proof bait cage in a cooler. Typically, I have 2 coolers, and they're already pre-packed. And what I typically do is the morning of when I'm planning on going hooping, I'll go to the bait barge, buy a bunch of sardines. I may fish for a little bit inside the harbor there, drift for halibut or whatever, come back to my slip. That's when I process all my bait for that night, get all my seal-proof bait cages filled, throw them all in my cooler, maybe go get some lunch or dinner, and then come back and then go out, and then I have everything ready. I just snap them in, drop my hoop nets, and I'm ready to go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Pretty slick. Promar just makes it so
Yes.
easy. I
We
mean,
try.
You've changed the game.
Yeah.
like
we try.
completely.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And that's you kind of on the same wavelength there, Pablo?
Oh yeah. I mean, we all do it the same, and we all do it just a little bit different, right? We all have our little tweaks, but yeah, I agree. In the beginning of the season, it's not as important but you always got to check your bait too, right? Because if you pull it up and it just looks like, obviously if it's loaded and they've been getting hammered, then it's a great idea to switch them out. Or you can just, if they've been taken down a little bit, just get some fresh and stuff it in there. I like going to the bait barge. We usually show up 2 hours before we're going to go, and then we go to the bait barge, we get our stuff, and I'll just leave it in the bait tank until we're ready to go. And then an hour before we're going to pick up the clients, we just start, processing them, stuffing them, and we get them all ready to go. It seems like they really, really like the fresh dead.
Yes.
They really dig that fresh dead. So, and back to the seal-proof bait traps or cages that we have, it's really important to understand if you put a salmon head, and sometimes I get it, sometimes up north, they don't have the ability to just go get fresh bait, right? Last year they ran out several times.
Yeah.
But down here, we're pretty fortunate. But when you have to try other stuff and you're just tying stuff in there, remember those sea lions, they can see really well. And if they see a salmon head in there or any kind of carcass in there, they're going to get in there. And not only are they going to destroy your bait, they're probably going to destroy your cage.
Yeah.
Or your hoop net.
Sure.
They just get in there and they just thrash around.
And that's the whole thing. They're not in there to eat the lobster.
No.
But their nose in there trying to get to the bait, as you're mentioning,
right.
just scares everything out.
Exactly.
And I can tell you for a fact that they go down and they check it out, and I can see them going from hoop net to hoop net, just looking, just like a diver, right?
Yeah.
You're like, hey, bro,
Okay, is this
why
one
you
in-
got a dive right here? It's like,
Does this guy have the Promar? No.
Yeah.
This guy
Yeah.
does? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to leave that one alone. Now we're
Yeah.
going to go to this guy that doesn't have the Promar one.
but they might not recognize the Promar, but they definitely recognize whether it's a fish carcass or if it's a cylinder, because they know they've tried.
They're
right?
smart.
They're probably the same one season after season.
Oh, sure.
So they understand. They're dogs. They're not that dumb. They're dumb when they want to be, right?
Yeah.
But I've had nothing but good experiences with the seal-proof bait cages. That we have
and
at
with the
Promar.
new improvement, I love it, man, because that's the only. I'm sure you get input from fishermen because you are too.
Yeah.
You get the bigger clip, and now it's going to be even simpler to unclip and clip back in.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the color too, because a lot of times we're super shallow here if we're fishing inside the harbors.
Yeah.
So the nice dark color makes a big difference too.
Okay. So when you're fishing different depths, how do you adjust your lines? You use different lines? How do you do that?
So it really depends on what I do is I like to preset them. If I know if I'm just going to go inside the harbor, I have everything preset. That way I don't have to mess around with anything.
Yeah.
But I believe we all rig the same. I know how Steve likes to rig and Justin Betrell up north, and we all do pretty much the same thing where we run our line through the buoy,
right,
and then we have a clip with a weight on it. So
which Promar makes, right?
Which Promar
clip
makes,
right on
and
there.
those are available and must have. I mean, you can try whatever you want, and that's cool. But these are super easy.
They are.
And
you don't have to have the buoys now with that system,
right?
You don't have to have the buoys together with the lines. You can add the buoy later, right?
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what's nice about that system too is it always takes your extra line that would be floating and be a hazard not only to you but to other boaters in the area, and it takes it straight down.
Right.
And it always enables the buoy to move with the rise and flow of the tide or currents or anything else. And it's a great setup. But on that other end, that's where you can just wad up your extra line. You can either zip tie it or just do, if you want a quick release, there's all kinds of things you can use for a quick release, any kind of bands or anything like that. But if I'm going, let's say if I'm just going inside of Mission Bay, I have them all preset to a certain whatever depth. Let's just say it's 35 feet, 40 feet, whatever you think is the best. I mean, you don't need to go much more than that. And then I secure it really good, and I know we're not going deeper.
Yeah.
Now, if I'm going out and about and I'm exploring those honey holes that we talked about earlier, now I'm going to change it up a little bit. And the only way I'm going to change it up is make sure instead of having to zip tie it and all crazy to where I have to cut everything, I'll use more like bands or something. And I have like the full length of what potentially is the longest or the deepest depth that we're going to go. And then I just make that adjustment as we get there. I'll meter around. I find our secret spot, our honey hole. I'll meter around. I'm like, okay, this is what we need. And then we'll just quickly make that adjustment and they're instantly ready to go.
So describe those clips, the Promar. It's a weighted clip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Essentially what it is we all know what a long line clip is, right? So it's essentially a long line clip, and then it has a big swivel on the opposite end of where you clip it to that is connected to a 6-ounce or a 12-ounce lead sinker.
Okay.
And you can quickly clip that onto, I like to do just a simple loop knot on the end of my line, clip that onto the loop knot, and it sinks out that excess.
So what do you
line.
mean? Describe the loop knot.
So overhand loop, basically just
a loop
on the opposite side. That way there's a loop there that I can just clip that onto, because lots of times if you just clip it straight onto the line,
it'll slide.
Exactly. Yeah. So I like to create
tie an overhand knot.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then clip it in the loop.
Yes.
Or clip it above the loop.
In the loop is what I like to do. And the nice thing about doing that too is that you can remove it when you're pulling up let's say you're pulling up your hoop net.
Yeah.
Rather than taking that slack end, the tag end rope line, and just throwing it on the boat and beating your boat up with that sinker, if it's zip tied on, like most people like to just zip tie an 8-ounce sinker or 6-ounce sinker. Well, when you bring that on, you just unclip it, and now you don't have to worry about that sinker messing up your deck and messing up your gel coat on your boat. You just remove it, throw it in a bucket that's right next to your feet is the way I do it. And then I bring all my line in. Because at that point, you don't need that sinker on your line anymore. And it's a safety thing also. So you're not swinging that rope over and hitting somebody with that sinker, but then you're also not beating up your boat.
It's a really good concept for sure.
Yeah.
Now you also have brought some props. You brought one of your nets, right?
Yeah.
And some new stuff, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I brought a standard 32,
which
is the original ambush hoop net that we did, the very first one. Just because I didn't want to bring a big old 36, but we have 4 different size hoop nets now, everything from our original 32 inch. And then we have our 36 inch XL, which is basically the same weight. So our 32 is about 5.5 pounds. And our 36 XL is 6 pounds, which is just the same gauge wire, only about 4 inches wider on the ring down below, so there's a little bit more volume. And I always recommend the 32 for anyone who's on a small boat or a kayak, because it saves space. And then if you're hooping on a bigger boat or even a medium-sized boat, you can jump up to a 36. When you don't really care about how much space these things take up on your boat, you can jump up to a 36. And then from there, we have our heavier versions, which are our XLH, which comes in at 13 pounds. And then our XLHD, which comes in at 23 pounds.
Whoa.
Yeah. So if
That's heavy.
Yeah. If
Oh,
you're
boy.
fishing Catalina, fishing anything over 150 feet and strong currents, that XLHD, that 23 pounder is probably what you're going to want. But if you're fishing that, then you're probably going to want an electric puller on the boat.
Then I
Right?
bought the Ace.
Why don't I hold it up and you can
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
about
yeah.
it, Pete? Hang on.
Corey's gonna. This is show and tell time here. So this is the Ace line hauler.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can see it. And this is the Brutus 40, made by Ace Line Hauler. You can get those at certain tackle shops. Have them,
Yeah.
and also at acelinehauler.com. This thing. It's like once you go Ace, we have a saying on my boat. Once you go Ace, you never go back. Because once you start, especially when you're fishing deep like a Catalina or some of the deeper spots in the bays or stuff like that, this makes life so much easier and quicker, everything about it. And so especially if you're not young guys like you guys, or you have a youngster on the boat pulling nets,
Yeah.
you need one of these here. There's no doubt about it. The Ace Line hauler really is a saver. You basically just plug it in to a Marinco plug. You can buy a Scotty base and put it right into your rod holder, and you're good to go.
So easy.
Highly recommended.
Absolutely.
I got to
Yeah.
get my hands on one of those for
Yeah,
sure. Those
yeah.
are pretty awesome.
There. Yeah.
Hey, from the way I hoop netted, this is
Yeah, for sure.
commercial style.
Well, and I've had this Brutus for, I'm going to say I've had it for 10 years.
Wow.
They don't break.
Oh yeah.
They're durable.
I know you're going to have people inquire about
Yeah,
that
they're
because
durable.
it's silly how
Yeah.
easy that really makes
Oh
it.
yeah. And it collapses down. That arm comes off. You can also get an extended arm for bigger boats, like Pablo was talking about it. And it collapses right into a bag, and it
And
makes
if
life
you
easy.
do happen to lose something on it, I can speak from experience. If you happen to lose one of the arms overboard or something, it's so easy to just order a replacement online.
Yeah. They're super good
Yeah.
people up there. They're based in British Columbia,
Yep.
but they do have some dealers around, so you can buy them direct from acelinehauler.com or from one of the local dealers in Southern California. So you also have some other accessories in the hoop too. The Promar makes pretty much everything you need to go lobstering.
Absolutely.
And so that's the non-seal proof bait cage, right?
This is the old school. This is kind of the first thing that everybody learned with when they started hoop netting. And then I think in 2015 around there is when we came out with our seal proof bait cage.
Yeah.
Prior to this, it was all about the steel wire bait cages. People still use them. I actually still use them when I'm fishing areas, or if I notice areas that there's very low, which is basically nowhere now, but there's very low sea lion population. I actually prefer these because it's easier for the lobsters to get into them, easier for that scent trail to get out of it, escape, and dissipate.
And little skin fragments, like little pieces come off and they're feeding in there. So there is like a positive.
Yeah, absolutely.
But not for the fur.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we've had,
because they'll crush those. They'll
they
get in
tear
those
'em up.
things
They'll
and
rip the thing apart.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a problem for them to
just leave your 300-pound dog to try to get in there, right? I mean, come on.
Exactly. So we've actually set up GoPros in our hoop nets, and we've done tests and experiments to just see what the difference as far as productivity is on each one. And these are actually really good. And right away you start seeing sand dab show up in there and just fish, bay bass stuff just come in and start picking at the bait, which is really good because you're getting,
it's creating activity.
Yeah, exactly. You're creating activity, and there's definitely a stronger scent trail. However, as soon as that dog gets on them, that's game over. Yeah.
And when those fish start picking and things start happening, like even the eels, when things start getting in there, the particulates in the water,
right,
and their antennae pick up on that,
it causes a frenzy.
Like literally, they're swimming toward it fast.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, we have more show and tell too, but you can hear we have a lot to talk about this morning with the Promar guys.
And if you want to join us, a couple ways to do it. 213-432-1090 is the telephone number. JP's waiting on the other. Is it JP this morning?
That's right. JP's on the board.
The one and only, the best.
Yep.
Waiting on the other side, our guardian angel, as we call them. And so 213-432-1090 is the number, or you can text us via the app. That's only done through the app. And by the way, if you missed like yesterday's show, with Eric Cord and Craig Schumann,
Schumann, and Ken Frankie, it was really good.
You got to go back and listen.
Yeah, You can check that on the audio portion on the Let's Talk Hookup app. It's available to download. It's available, of course, on our YouTube and Facebook Let's Talk Hookup radio show as a podcast or a video pod. Would you call it a video podcast? Is that what you would call it? Yeah. Okay. So it's either audio or video podcasts are available on all the shows.
So again, having Steven here from Promar and Pablo from Fernandez Charters, and you want to give us a call, 213-432-1090. We're giving away $100 to Ahi Promar.
Two of them. Yeah.
So one for a caller,
one for a texter. Yeah.
Dude, we don't have to flip the coin.
It's a gift card that you can just go on promarahi.com, right?
Yep.
And just order whatever you want.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be lobster items. It could also be fluorocarbon, our new GT4 fluorocarbon. It could be wine on leaders, jigs, whatever you guys want.
Yeah, your ahi jigs are pretty awesome.
Yeah,
they work.
How cool is that? Well, you're listening to Southern California Sport Fishing Voice. We're going to be right back on the Let's Talk Hookup app and a Sports Grid Radio Network.
Hey, this is Rosie with Cedros Sport Fishing. We have always been the leader with all-inclusive fishing trips to Cedros Island. We now have 2 lodges to choose from and both sit on the cliff's edge with relaxing ocean views and gorgeous morning sunrises. With direct flights departing to the CBX in San Diego, we are committed to providing first-class service to our guests and an unforgettable fishing experience. Come check out the yellowtail and calico bass capital in the world. Nobody does it better than Cedros Sport Fishing. Call me at 619-772-7570 or check us out at cedrosportfishing.com. Book soon. Trips are going fast.
All of us at the American Angler family want to express appreciation to our regular passengers that fish with us year after year, and to the new anglers that came out this last season. We realize how precious your vacation time is, and we are truly grateful that you have chosen to spend this time with us. It's important that your experience is memorable, from the moment you call the office to the time you step off the boat. Hi, I'm Lori. Call me at the office, 619-223-5414, or check us out at AmericanAnglerSportFishing.com. Come fishing with the American Angler family and make a memory.
Many years ago, Baja pioneer Bob Van Wormer found the area he called the Great Fish Trap in the East Cape of southern Baja and built what is now regarded as the premier East Cape resorts of Palmas de Cortez and Playa del Sol. Today, following in their father's footsteps, Bob's sons, Bobby, Chucky, and Eddie, have taken Palmas de Cortez and Playa del Sol to new levels with the largest sport fishing fleet in Mexico, a luxurious spa, and top-of-the-line resort amenities. Van Wormer Resorts have become a destination for travelers worldwide. But for us, Palmas de Cortez and Playa del Sol are just a short 2-hour flight away. No other tropical fishing destination offers the experience and value that you'll find at Palmas de Cortez and Playa del Sol. Now you can plan your Baja fishing vacation quick and easy by visiting VanWarmerResorts.com. And when you're ready to book, it's quick and easy. Or simply call 877-7772 for more information. Van Wormer Resorts, the East Cape's finest.
The name that stands out among anglers is Fisherman's Landing, your top choice in local and long-range fishing. Hi, this is Doug Kern. Our hardworking crew will make sure your fishing experience is one to remember. We offer the finest open party trips from 1 to 3 days, the best charter boats available, and of course, our world-renowned long-range fleet is second to none. Fisherman's Landing is a full-service operation offering great half-day trips on the Dolphin and full-day open party trips on the spacious and comfortable Liberty. Since we introduced the full-day trips at Fisherman's Landing, the 85-foot Liberty has become a favorite among full-day operations with bunks for your comfort, huge bait capacity, and RSW fish holds to keep your catch fresh. Plus, Liberty has a big modern galley and 2 interior heads with showers. All our open party trips from half-day, full, or 1 to 3 day trips can easily be booked online at fishermanslanding.com or give us a call at 619-221-8500. I'll see you at Fisherman's Landing in San Diego.
All right, welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup, and having Steve from Promar and Pablo from Fernandez Charters in studio talking lobster fishing. Man, it's so hard to believe.
It's Friday, 6 p.m. is the big opener. Yeah.
And if you didn't catch the beginning, there's the changes that Eric Cord had mentioned yesterday. You can't protect your spot at noon waiting for 6 p.m. There's no gear in the water until 6:01.
Right. That means also, like, I know a lot of guys like to throw their hoop nets without bait in the water just to hold their spots. You can't do that either.
Right.
Yeah. You have to wait until 6 p.m.
I wonder how many citations are going to be given for people not paying attention.
Here's a lot. None of us like more laws added on,
sure.
But
that's a good one.
This is a good one.
Yeah, for sure. Especially for us that like to hoop, and it's just a lot of guys bend the rules
Yeah,
to their
yeah.
advantage.
And you don't need
stuff.
to. The
No,
lobster
no.
last year was so good. I mean,
Yeah,
the last few years it's been
absolutely.
really good. So you don't need to do that.
Where's your favorite zone to fish?
Believe it or not, I do most of my fishing inside Long Beach and San Pedro Harbor.
Popular.
Yeah, it's really popular in there, but usually the first month, all of October is usually crazy.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's not rare to be out there by yourself.
Yeah.
And
that's
I
cool.
usually,
It's a big harbor.
Oh yeah. It's
versus
huge.
San Diego, it's like there's not a lot of, and Mission Bay the same. It's
Yeah, Mission
not
Bay
a lot of room, right?
And there's a lot of structure. I mean, there's a lot of jetties, a lot of rock walls in there where lobsters like to hide. I mean, we got the big old Federal break wall. I mean, that's really good.
Yeah.
And so you're mentioning rock and you're mentioning pylons and all the structure, and Pablo being in Mission Bay, people don't realize that they live in the eelgrass.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like in eelgrass. Oh, well, I mean, we realize that, but a lot of people don't. That
yeah.
The eelgrass,
they don't need rocks.
No, they don't. The eelgrass is a sanctuary for them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know I've talked to divers that really like to dive on eelgrass and they look from there. Unfortunately, up in our area, there's not a lot of eelgrass inside the harbor, but down here, I know there is a lot of eelgrass. In the
Watch
bays.
out. We may just gave it up. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, Pablo. Gave all these spots
Yeah,
up.
let's switch subject. No,
Yeah. So
that's really
continuing the show and tell here, the Promar gloves are perfect. They're made for lobster fishing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have I personally prefer using these types of gloves. For those of you that are listening, it's our latex grip gloves. There's a lot more dexterity in the fingers. I know that when you're pulling rope, when you're pulling line, especially if it's 1/2-inch line, you want to be able to grip that line as you're pulling it up. You don't want it to slip, because then if it slips, then you can potentially lose some lobsters in your hoop net. But I personally prefer those. We also have some insulated gloves that keep your hands nice and warm. A lot of people prefer those as well. But these are my favorite. They're lightweight. They got really good dexterity. They have a nice vinyl or latex coating. So when you're handling those lobsters, they're called spiny lobsters for a reason, right? So we know that they have some sharp points on them.
Oh yeah.
And you want to wear some gloves when you're handling those things, because they can tear up your hands.
Yeah, that rubber grip feels nice.
No, they work. And the thing about the spiny lobsters is you think, oh, well, I have tough hands. Well, the problem is they have a lot of bacteria.
Yeah.
And so if they penetrate you, man, your hands are going to be messed up.
Yeah, you can get an infection.
Take it from experience, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, now the lights too, the Promar lights are really, really cool.
Yeah. So this is something, I mean, we've hammered on this for years and years, and people still call us and ask us, hey, what's so special about your lights? So with our lights, we have two different lights. We offer the chemical light sticks, which is, everybody knows what a chemical light stick
You
is.
break it, the chemicals mix. And,
yeah, exactly. And then we have our LED light sticks, and I'm trying to open this.
Yeah, they're protected so that you can pull a tab and then they're activated.
So that the batteries never die while it's being stored. But the nice thing about these LEDs is there's two settings on these. So as I'm doing my first set, I'll set it to a flashing mode. So I'll have 10 hoops in the water, 10 floats in the water, and then you'll see 10 flashing lights. Now, what can happen as you're doing this set is you kind of lose track. If you don't have a good organized system of which one was the first one you put in the water to the last one you put in the water, you kind of lose track of how long each one's been soaking. So what I like to do is I like to use the flashing setting or the solid setting, doesn't really matter. But if I'm starting off the night and I start with the flashing setting, then I'll have 10 flashing lights. And as I work my way through my set, starting with the first one that I put in the water, the one that's been soaking the longest, then I'll switch over to a solid setting. So now I'll have that one solid and 9 flashing. So I know that I don't have to touch that solid one anymore. I can move on to the flashing one. And that helps me keep track as I progress through my set.
Really good.
Which ones need to be soaking longer, which ones have been I've rebaited or checked already. And
super slick.
Makes it really easy.
Super slick. And it's legality too, right? Like each buoy has to be
lighted.
Yeah,
lighted. Yeah. You also have to have your Go ID on there. Things have changed a little bit with the Go ID.
Fortunately.
Yeah, really good.
So how did that, because I think that was last year, right?
Yeah, we talked about it last year, where every Go ID and each person could only be limited to 5 floats with their Go ID number on there. So if you're fishing 10 and you had a buddy on the boat, basically 5 floats had to be your Go ID and 5 floats had to be
designated to somebody else.
Yeah, and you couldn't pull up the other person's Go. It was really complicated, but luckily, thankfully, they figured that out and they said, no, you don't have to do all that. We'll just make sure that one person on the boat, whoever, if it's 3, 4, 5 of you guys, just make sure one of your guys' Go ID is on there.
All of them.
Yeah, on all of them.
Right.
But everybody needs to have their lobster card, obviously.
Yes.
And that's another important thing is no matter who you are, what you're doing, you could be under the age of 16. You could be fishing from a pier. You know, anyone who's under the age of 16 doesn't need a fishing license. However, if they're hooping for lobster, they do need a lobster card.
Everybody, no matter what
exactly.
age.
If you're fishing from a pier, you don't need a fishing license, but you do need a lobster card if you're hooping from a pier.
And one thing our DFW guys mentioned yesterday is get it now, because a lot of times places will run out of paper because they're so long.
Yeah.
And you go, okay, I'm going like in an hour, and sorry, we're out of paper.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And not only that, but in the last year,
because it lasts for the season.
Yeah, exactly.
You buy it once and it's for the season.
It's good until March. So you buy it now, October 24 or September of 2024, and it's good until March of 2025.
Yeah.
When the season is over. And also one thing to note is that in the last year, we've been very fortunate that now we can actually get our fishing license on the app on our phone. So we don't have to carry our fishing license paper. However, the lobster card, you need the physical paper on you. You can't say, I'm just going to use that new Fish and Wildlife app where I see my fishing license. You can't do that. You need to have,
because you have to fill it out.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to fill it out.
You got to follow the regs because they watch it.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's jump into the phones, and the texts are jumping in. They all want to win a $100 gift card to Promar Ahi.
I know. And if you want to give us a call, 213-432-1090, or text us via the app, we're going to talk to Robert. Robert calling from Canning Country. Good morning, Robert.
Good morning, guys. So I understand that you have to mark the buoy or you have to do your Go ID. What is the deal? What do you have to do?
So do you want me?
Yeah, go for it, Pablo.
Hey, Robert, this is Pablo. How you doing, buddy? So what you got to do is you have to put your Go ID,
which is your number on your license.
It's your number on your license by the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. Everyone's issued a number. So you put your Go ID on the buoy, and then you can also number your buoys just for your own. So you know, you 1 through 10 or whatever, something like that. But what's mandated is you have to put the Go ID on it. And that's number issued to everybody that has a California fishing license.
So you as captain, now with the new regulation or the revised regulation, you can put all your Go ID on all 10 of the floats.
Yeah, that's correct. And then, you got to put the Go ID on every single one of the floats.
Yes.
They all have to be labeled, and it doesn't have to be huge, but, make them legible. Just use a nice, permanent marker, make them legible. And that's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
So typically what I like to do, since, I own 10 hoop nets, I take buddies, it varies on who I take every time. But
and they're always on your boat, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So my 10 have just my Go ID. Go ID number. I don't have to worry about putting, if my buddy is coming with me, they don't have to worry about putting their Go ID numbers. As long as my Go ID number is on all of them, then we're good.
All right. Very good. Hey, thanks a lot for the call this morning. That does free up 213-432-1090. JP standing by. I have a great text here from John in Mira Mesa. He says, for bait, I hear different opinions that you guys swear by. Fresh sardines, salmon heads, mackerel, sprayed with a scent. What's your opinion on bait, and does it really make a difference?
Yeah, I think it does. I think we talked about that a little bit in the beginning of the show, but for me, it's fresh dead. For me, I'm going to the bait barge right before I go out. I'm getting a scoop of bait. I'm going to make sure I have enough for the whole evening, and then I'm using the fresh dead. And we have a lot of different techniques on how to prepare the fresh dead to put in our seal-proof bait cages. But for me personally, it's whatever the bait barge has. If it's sardines, anchovies, it's going to be mostly sardines and anchovies. And we just prepare those fresh dead and put them in our seal-proof bait cages.
Do you chop them up? Do you cut them?
Yeah, we did. We have a few different ways to do it. But yeah, basically we want to get them chopped up. You don't want to get it into a complete slurry mush to where it's, just a paste, but you want it chunky. You want it chunky and bleeding, so it's attracting them. But they do have those, they're feeler antennas, and they do sense electrical impulses, so they can tell when something's freshly dead.
Yeah. All right.
Man, there's so much to it.
Yeah. You have a good text, huh?
I do. And it's kind of along the same lines as a bait, but it's a different angle here. Good morning, guys. believe we are already looking at lobster season. Is there some good literature online about bait regulations? I've heard that tuna and other scraps from our catch is possibly illegal to use. My favorite bait is fresh mackerel. That catch between sets, but it's not always an option. Thanks. And that's from Rory in Lakeside.
Yeah, so we do have if you go to promar.com, there's a lobster resources page.
So is it Promar Ahi, or you can go to Promar, Promar.com?
Either way. It's actually promarahi.com, but whatever you plug in, it'll take you right to our website.
Great.
But we do have a lobsters resources page on our website. So if you go on our website, you can go to the lobster resource page, and on there, you're going to find a bunch of vlogs, a bunch of videos, a bunch of blogs that talk about all the regulations and stuff. We don't like to be an authority in regards to regulations. We like to direct everyone to the California Fish and Wildlife website. And we really, it's your job as an angler to know the laws when you're going out there. So we want to make sure that everybody's up to speed on those laws before they put a hoop net in the water. However, give us a call. Sometimes it's a little difficult to find stuff on their website. So if you guys can't find the information that you're looking for on their website, give us a call and we'll shoot you the link. Typically, we have those links already pre-saved. If somebody has a question in regard to what type of bait they can use or whatever, and they can't find it on Fish and Wildlife, we already have that link saved. So you give us a call, you give us your email, and we'll send you the link where it'll tell you exactly what you're looking for on the Fish and Wildlife website.
There it is. Okay, and there are some set in stone, like if you like to use bonito.
Yeah.
Like you're only allowed 5 bonito under that, whatever the fork length, 24-inch or whatever it is. Don't take my word, but look at the site. You're only allowed 5.
Yeah.
So you can't have
like a whole bunch of bonito.
Thank you.
Exactly. Now, what about like if you have stuff that's freezer burned or something like that? Is it legal to use like old tuna?
Technically, no. So, So from what I've gathered and talking to wardens and different people in Fish and Wildlife, I'll stop by. Usually, what I like to do at every Fred Hall or Bar Hall or PCS show, I'll stop by the Fish and Wildlife booth and I'll just ask them questions and I'll let them know who I'm with and kind of what we're doing. But for the most part, the easiest thing to do is just avoid using any type of fish that has limits as bait. So tuna, yellowfin, dorado, yellowtail, all that stuff. Even though, we can't do anything with the carcasses after we fillet them, technically you shouldn't be using that as bait, because if you have multiple pieces of yellowfin or yellowtail in your bait cages, you have 10 bait cages. How is a warden supposed to know that you only had your limit that night?
Yeah.
They won't know. I mean, it's just.
So are there different regulations for the commercial guys? Because pretty much all of them use scraps from the processors, right?
I would think so. There's different limits to the commercial guys too. So that also has a lot to do with it.
You know what? There's so many different things, right, Pete?
Right.
But I think it's all in how you treat the officer.
Right.
I mean,
exactly.
How far do you want them to go down the list, right?
Right.
Because technically, I don't know if you guys know, but legally, you're not supposed to have more than 50 sardines on the boat.
Yeah.
Unless you can show the receipt that you paid for it.
Oh, okay.
Do you ever see that enforced?
No. And when's the last time you got a receipt at the bait bar?
That's what well, they
every
do
single time.
But listen, they do offer it to you now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they do. They'll ask you. But I'm just
pretty interesting.
It is.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, some really good stuff here, and we're learning a lot here too. But one of the things that we learned yesterday from Eric Cord and our DFW show yesterday is there's a lot of interpretation by the officers. So if you're like Cory says, you speak well to them, you treat them with respect. I have a feeling that they're not going to cite you for having a bunch of fillets of tuna that's old on the boat. I just don't.
Yeah,
I don't see that happening.
And also, let's make it easy for them, because for me, I have all my documents in order all the time. I have all the cards together. Right. I have all the licenses together. Yep. I welcome them aboard. I don't, I'm not trying to hide anything. The more open and transparent you are with them, least likely they are to like dig around your boat and do, crazy things. But let's make it easy for them. They're doing a job. I'd rather have them going and checking out the sketchy guys than dealing with me for an hour for no reason.
Absolutely.
So
for sure.
Make it easy for them.
Want to mention some great trips coming up. Then I can't believe with the way the yellowfin tuna fishing down below has been, I can't believe there's some openings on the Royal Star. They have an October 5th trip. that has 3 openings. They have an October 22nd trip and a November 6th trip that has a couple of openings. Unbelievable time, probably the best ever yellowfin tuna fishing down south on these boats. And then, of course, our Let's Talk Hookup Shogun trip still has a couple of spots left. It's now a 7-day instead of a 6-day. That's leaving on the 21st of October. So Ron Lane will be hosting that trip. But for the Royal Star, check royalstarsportfishing.com, or for the Shogun trip, check shogunsportfishing.com. And time for a break, Cory.
All right, we're going to be right back on the Let's Talk Hookup app and that Sports Grid Radio Network.
Wait, a 40-pound white sea bass off an inflatable Hobie kayak? Tell me about that.
Kayaks on Mission Bay, and the whole story began when Ron Lane lent my parents some Hobie Mirage iTrex to put on their boat and take to Catalina Island. Threw it in my car and drove down to Baja for a fishing and camping trip. Ended up landing a bucket list 40-pound white sea bass on the inflatable.
Dang, that sounds even better than our Mammoth trip. And we packed up the kayaks in the car, snowboarded all morning, then drove down to the lakes, launched the iTrex, and fished for trout all afternoon.
Honestly, the iTrex inflatables are the ultimate fishing platform. From trout in the Sierras, calicos at Catalina, and white sea bass in the Sea of Cortez, they can do it all.
And we've documented all these trips, so check out Fastlane Kayaks on Instagram to see more. And if you think you want a kayak, but you're on the fence, come down to our shop. We're right on Mission Bay, and we would be happy to throw one in the water and let you give it a try. So call Fastlane Kayaks to schedule a demo today.
Give your boat the love it deserves and install a custom sea deck kit from Blue Seas Fabrication. Blue Seas is the West Coast's only certified sea deck fabricator and installer. Sea deck upgrades the look and feel of any boat, old or new. Sea deck non-skid decking adds comfort, convenience, safety, and value. Let the experts from Blue Seas Fabrication custom fit your deck, bridge, and interiors with stylish, durable, stain-resistant, and easy-to-clean sea deck. Check BlueSeasFabrication.com and enhance your fishing experience.
Lobster season is here. It's time to gear up with the best in the business. Promar, based in SoCal. Promar knows lobster and makes everything you need to catch these tasty critters. The Promar guys are hardcore lobster fishermen and have designed the most successful hoop nets and accessories on the market, including the Ambush Series hoop net line, the original hoop net designed for SoCal lobster hooping. Visit Promar on Facebook or on the web at promarahi.com.
Turner's Outdoorsman, Southern California's #1 shooting, hunting, and fishing tackle retailer since 1971, is right in your neighborhood. Now with stores throughout Southern, Central, and Northern California. No one does it better. Turner's Outdoorsman brings you the best prices and selection, plus a knowledgeable staff that will help make your day on the water or in the field more fun. Stop by your neighborhood Turner's Outdoorsman. To find a location nearest you, check the web at turners.com and sign up for special deals and more.
Whether you're fly fishing, bottom fishing, net fishing, or just sitting on the water thinking about fishing, remember, a good day in the water starts with everyone wearing a life jacket. Save the ones you love. A message from California State Parks Division of Boating and Waterways.
All right. Good morning. Welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup. And all the lobster talks got me fired up.
Yeah, you ready to go? Are you ready to jump back into it? I know you were like the
so darn into it that it was a part of my life for many years. In fact, we were talking yesterday, like there was a point, you probably don't remember, Steve or Pablo, but the commercial and the sport opened up on the same day, and the warden in here, senior warden, couldn't remember that. So I remember.
You're dating yourself.
I know. It's all the white hair.
That's it. Well,
it's all good time.
Let's find out what's biting out there.
And it's sponsored by Gamakatsu. It's not all about hooks. There's so much more, including the new Gamakatsu fillet knives. And once you try one, you'll always want more. The new tools are always very special, including the Gamakatsu braid scissors made with a ceramic blade, so they'll never rust. And you can see your local dealer or check gamakatsu.com.
Going to start with an update from the Palmas de Cortez tuna shootout with our buddy Chris Moyer from East Smokies Curing and Cantina. Good morning, Chris.
Morning, Chris.
Pedro, Cory, buenos dias. I wanted to just give you guys a quick recap of the tournament yesterday. So if you remember, I predicted something around the 57-pound tuna range would come in. And until very late in the tournament, there was a 67-pounder firmly entrenched at first place. And at the last moment, the C Senor came in with, I think I texted you, Pedro, I think it's 116-pound tuna. And that's Pioline. I think you remember Pioline Pedro. He fished the J&B out of Palma Seca for many, many years.
Yeah.
Yeah, great fisherman. Anyway, lots of tuna coming in, but most of them were in the 20, 30, 40-pound range. So that 67-pounder was looking good until the last moment.
Oh.
And then, go ahead. I'm sorry.
They must have been heartbroken.
Well, you know how it goes. That's like, you don't ever pop the tequila bottle until the last minute when you win.
That's it.
So yeah. So and then there was a 42-pound wahoo, which they took, the wahoo pots, but the total winnings went to, including the car, went to the tuna because it was for the biggest fish. But anyway, exciting tournament out there. And another one behind us.
Yeah, how did Vaquera do?
Vaquera caught, I think they came in with a boatload of tuna, like many boats. Most of the boats came in with just a bunch of tuna, but just not in the range you're looking for. 20, 30 pounds. I think there maybe had a 40-pounder, but that was pretty much the story for most of the boats. It was a lot of tuna just. And that's what I kind of thought leading into it, that maybe something around that was in second place would have won it, but they found the one big one out there and won it by a landslide.
That's so cool. And you must be really busy at the Smokies processing there with all that tuna.
Oh yeah, the crew's leaving late at night, so we gotta pay some bonuses this quinzena, but that's always a good thing. I love doing that.
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah. Well, great. Thanks for the update on that Palmas de Cortez tuna shootout. Of course, we'll be down there in a couple of weeks for our Let's Talk Hookup 30th annual Let's Talk Hookup. Palmas de Cortez Rich Top Fall Spectacular. Looking forward to seeing you, Chris. And of course, we'll talk to you next Saturday.
Great, guys. Have a good day.
Thanks for that update.
From there, we're going to go to Dana Point, Dana Wharf Sport Fishing, talk to the man, Brian Woolley. Good morning, Brian.
This morning, man. I know lots of the local HoopNet guys are getting fired up.
Right?
Yeah.
That break wall is going to be covered.
Ooh, you imagine?
Sure.
Huh? Golden Nuggets, man.
Lots of flashing lights for sure. Well, hey, you can feel it right in the air. The water temps crept down here a little bit, 67 to 68. Not that that's any major swing or anything, but today being the first day of fall, the local bass fishing has still been pretty good here for us. The sand bass fishing's been, in particularly, quite a bit better than our kelp bass fishing the last couple of weeks for both our half and 3/4 day guys. So we've been spending a lot of our time over the hard bottom, all that low relief structure and stuff like that, as opposed to backing the boat into the kelp on our 3/4 day trips. And it's been pretty good. It's kind of been worth the extra effort looking around the hard bottom with the sonar for these little spots of sand bass. Sinker setups fished well for those guys. Excuse me, this week, reverse dropper loops, Carolina rig stuff. This fish has kind of been mid-water. You'll find it mid-water, and then as you kind of sit on it and chum, it'll come up to the surface. So again, like I kind of reported last week, out of the gate, the sinker setup's been getting really well, and then as we sit, you guys are changing over to the fly line baits and catching some of that. And along with that fly line opportunity, we've had quite a bit of smaller bonito, like the 1 to 2 pound stuff zipping around. So some guys going home with 5 fish limit of that, which kind of helps with the surface action on that live bait. And a few more sheepheads, guys that want to stick with the sinker setup. Sometimes the best bait for those sheepheads is a live sardine. We've seen some really nice ones coming off the live baits off the bottom, and a few halibut as well for both those half day and 3/4 day stuff. Out off the beach for us, the Fury, he's been on a nice little stretch of 2-day trips this week. With the weather permitting, he's been able to get out to the banks there and catch some bluefin for his guys. And it's kind of been a, pick your own adventure kind of a deal with that weather. If the guys want to tough it out and stick it out with that weather, they've been doing that, or it's been kind of retreat back to the island. And they've had some pretty good fishing there at Clemente. A little bit of yellowtail, some good rockfish opportunity. The bass fishing has been okay. Sea bass had a nice little shot of bass this week. Some of that fish was at 30-pound grade, good mid-grade sea bass. And, fair action on the calico bass fishing there as well. So definite fall vibe in the air here for us, and you can feel it for sure. But anyways, looking forward to a new week here. Water's clean and nice and good little bits of current here. So I'd imagine we'll have probably a cookie cutter week of what we went through last week here looking forward to what we have pushing through here next week. So give us a call if you want to hop on a trip. Our number here, 949-496-5794. Of course, you can hit us on the web at danawharf.com and make those reservations from there. And also just a reminder, our half price Tuesday is back, now that summer's over. So half day, quarter day, and occasional twilight trip, that's all up and on the table there if you guys want to save a few bucks on a trip.
How cool is that? I mean, Dana Wharf, I always say it. I mean, just family run, family oriented, and always willing to be friendly to their
Cut
customers.
a deal for the customers.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, link it through the Let's Talk Hookup website. Just go link up on that Dana Wharf Sport Fishing website, and it'll take you all to that good information. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Brian.
that.
Roger, you got it.
And we'll
All right.
talk to you next Sunday, which is the full week of fall.
Roger. I did forget to mention, I should throw it out there. We do have BootNet trips that will be on the books too. So if you guys are talking lobster, we'll talk more about that next week. But anyways, have a great week, guys.
Yeah, you too. Yeah, for sure. Want to get through while we're waiting for Gundy? 213-432-1090. Let's jump into the phones, Corey.
Let's do it. Cliff calling from Blossom Valley. Good morning, Cliff.
Okay, good morning, guys. I'm already super excited about the season, but my question's about lights. I've gone through a lot of different methods, including putting flashlights in plastic bottles. And where do you mount the lights? Do you drill a little hole in the buoy and put them, or what do you guys do?
Good question.
And what light do you use?
So what we actually just did a video on this. If you go on our lobster resources page on our website, we explain how to rig up your float so that you can put the Promar lights in it. But what typically I do is I take a 3/4 inch drill bit, drill the top of the float, and then also drill the flat side of the float, put a 4 to 6 ounce sinker on that flat side, and then put the light on top. And then what that sinker does is counterbalances the light. So if you don't put a sinker in your float and you just put the light in, what's going to happen is that float is going to twist on the line and your light's going to be underwater. So you want to counterbalance that by putting a sinker in your float and then putting that light on top of the float. I know it doesn't make sense when I'm saying it, but if you watch the video on our Promar Lobster resources page, you'll get it.
It'll more than make sense.
Yeah, exactly.
And we have one guy in our life, one guy that was associated with Promar that we have to thank for all that information.
Yeah, that's right. Jim Salazar.
Jim the man.
He's the
He wrote the
godfather.
book.
Exactly.
Right.
He wrote the book. He's the one that kind of helped us develop everything in the very beginning. And it's because of him that we have a lot of this great product for you guys.
Wonderful gentleman.
And as far as lights go, there's a multitude of ways to do it. But these Promar lights, and I don't know, you would agree, Pablo.
Oh yeah.
They make life so easy. And you just color, and they go out, they get dim and stuff. So you just bring a bunch and switch them out. But they last, pretty much the whole season.
And
right?
the nice thing too is they come, when you purchase one, they do come with extra batteries.
Yeah.
So once you burn through that first set, you can throw that second set in
How
there.
long does it take to go through a set of batteries? A couple nights?
Honestly, I use one set of batteries the whole season.
The whole season?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
The important thing is that when you're done at the end of the night, when you get home, you open these up and you let all that moisture get out of them. If you just end up throwing them somewhere in your boat and then leaving them there for the next time that you go hooping,
they're eventually going to go back.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. But if you take care of the stuff, it's gonna.
So unscrew the top.
Yeah.
Just let them dry out.
Exactly.
And then put them back together.
Yeah.
Is that the best way?
Yeah.
They are
Now I just learned
watertight. They
something.
are waterproof for the most
Yes.
part, but you're out in the ocean.
There's condensation
Yeah,
and-
exactly. There's moisture that gets in there. Just let that moisture get out at the end of the night.
Yeah, and it's always a good practice with anything that has batteries to open it up and not keep the batteries in it. You keep the batteries in it, and they're always going to be trying to corrode. You
Yes.
take them out, and it's going to last a lot longer.
And save the battery life. Yeah.
Right.
All right. Hey, we're going to be right back. We're going to have more information, all this stuff going on, and maybe Gundy Gunderson to conclude our surf report, right? I can't wait. It's my favorite. We're going to be right back. Southern California Sport Fishing Voices. Let's talk.
Actually, we're gonna wait because JP just sent us a little message there. Are we good to go, JP? Okay, we're good. All right, we are
Technical
going to take a
issues.
break. All right.
How about that? We're going to be right back on the Let's Talk Hookup app and the Sports Grid Radio Network. It's live radio.
Selling gasoline at the San Diego Sports Arena is the place to fill up your car, truck, and boat with the lowest gas and diesel prices. Did you know Summit is also the place to get the lowest prices on gourmet items and snacks for your trip? That's half the price of others. Plus, you get 100 pounds of
Sorry about that, guys.
with a 30-gallon
No worries, man.
Kirkland products at lower prices than the store that makes them. Plus dozens of great snacks for just
We're good now.
89 cents. They can now accommodate 24 cars and trucks to fuel at the same time. Plus 12 diesel pumps. Easy in and outs, too. Step into the Summit Bistro and enjoy what Martha and her crew have for you. Fresh made burritos, sandwiches, and salad, along with beer, beverages, and of course, always free ice. Summit Gasoline low prices, friendly staff, free ice, and easy in and out with your boat and trailer at the San Diego Sports Arena. Great fishing is what Seaforth Sports Fishing in Mission Bay is all about. With free parking and fully stocked tackle shop, Seaforth Sport Fishing is a favorite among anglers. Come aboard top boats like the Aztec, Cortez, Endeavor, Apollo, Outer Limits, Elgato Doe, Pride, Polaris Supreme, Tribute, Pacifica, Pacific Voyager, and the Voyager. Plus, the new Seaforth, Sea-Watch, and San Diego offer the finest half and full day trips available. Seaforth Sport Fishing. For charters or schedule, check seaforthlanding.com. Run by fishermen for fishermen in Mission Bay.
Anyone that's been to the East Cape knows Smokey's Curing Company Cantina, the best food and drink in Los Barriles, and a fun place to hang out and watch your favorite sporting event. If you're lucky, you probably had Smokey's process your fish to take home. Their quality and service is top-notch. You'll see me at Smokey's Cantina hanging out with the owner, Chris, and my buddies when fishing in the East Cape. And we always send our fish to be processed at Smokey's, too. Now Chris has added one of the finest boats in the East Cape available for you to charter for a day or more of fishing. Vaquera. It's an immaculate 35 Cabo with a seakeeper and Captain Diego Romero, one of Baja's best. If you're looking for a great charter boat when fishing at Palmas, Playa, or other resorts, Vaquera, booked at BajaSmokies.com, should be your choice. So when you're headed to the East Cape, be sure to stop by Smokey's Curing Company Cantina. Send your fish to be processed there and fish aboard the 35 Cabo Vaquera. Check BajaSmokies.com for more details.
Offshore fishing is on. Hi, this is Doug Kern from Fisherman's Landing Tackle, the saltwater tackle professionals. For bluefin tuna and yellowtail, nothing beats the Shimano Talica, the pinnacle of lever drag 2-speed reels. Shimano Speedmaster 2 is also an extremely durable, high-performance lever drag reel for the more budget-minded angler. Both the Talica and Speedmaster 2 feature Shimano's Hagani body to prevent misalignment of moving parts under the heaviest of load. For all your Shimano, visit us at Fisherman's Landing Tackle at Fisherman's Landing in San Diego.
And now it's time for more of Southern California's sports fishing voice. Let's talk hookup. This portion of the show is sponsored in part by Ford, the official truck of Let's Talk Hookup. Shimano Rods and Reels, fish with the best, Shimano. And by Yamaha Outboards, official motor sponsor of Let's Talk Hookup. Here we go. Another great hour of Southern California's sports fishing voice. Let's Talk Hookup. Here's Pete Gray, Rock Cod, Rick Mexa, and Cory Sanden.
And welcome back. Hour number 2, Let's Talk Hookup, right here on the Let's Talk Hookup app, Sports Grid Radio Network, Facebook, and YouTube Live, and 1090 AM. We got it all covered there. Pete Gray here, along with Cory Sanden. Ricky is out today. He's unfortunately, I'm going to break the news here.
He
break it. Broke his wrist again.
Oh,
yeah, he fell. He was taking care of his kids and on the swing and fell and he broke his wrist. So he's going to be having some surgery this week, and so we'll welcome back Rick soon. He told me he's coming back next weekend. So
I hope so.
Yeah, so he'll be around. But Cory, you guys will be around. You'll be around too.
And I think he mentioned Dallas's birthday was yesterday.
Yeah,
the 21st.
Yeah,
so
happy birthday,
belated.
Dallas. Yeah. She's taking care of Ricky,
right?
and the kids too. So, we're here in the world headquarters of Let's Talk Hookup here, right next to San Diego Landings. Great show here. Lobster season this Friday night. Steve Oropeza from Promar and Pablo Fernandez from Fernandez Charters, learning a ton about lobster fishing.
And we're giving away $100 to a lucky texter and a lucky caller.
One for each.
And $100 goes to promarahi.com.
Right.
And you can pick out whatever you want.
Yeah.
That's right. And I was checking out these gloves, man.
The gloves are great.
Diving.
And they're very reasonable too.
I've purchased, like $40 pair of rifes, for diving.
I know. These are the best.
Retail under $10?
Yeah, under $10.
Hello.
Yeah,
I'm in.
Yeah, no, they last too.
Yeah, they last the whole season. No problem.
Yeah, for sure.
This grip's incredible.
Yeah, no, they work, and they're available pretty much at all your retailers, right?
Every pretty much every tackle shop in Southern California has the gloves.
Yeah.
And Pablo had a great one too. Like if you don't want to get smelly and you don't want to get your hands wet and stuff, you can put surgical,
like just latex gloves or
latex,
whatever.
non-latex, whatever you're into, and you can just put them on. There's a lot of people that don't want to get wet or smelly,
Yeah.
or sticky, you know, clients and stuff. And I just have a box of those on there. They slip those on right underneath these gloves.
Good idea.
And then they can take the gloves off. They can take, dispose of the other gloves. They can get nice and warm. They can have their hot cocoa or whatever they're doing, coffee, adult beverages, whatever, snacks, and then they're good to go.
That's a pro tip.
So when you take passengers out, so you do like lobster charters on your boat. Are they open party or do you charter them or how do you do it?
I do both. So I do open party trips, and those are usually through your saltwater guide for the community there. I don't really open the open parties to the whole world just because it's a little bit of a headache for me to try to deal with 4 different people
to
versus
coordinate
having one charter master. But I do from time to time have them, and I am doing them right now for saltwater guide members. And if somebody wants to take the lead and try to get 4 people, I would do open parties as well.
Yeah, so they could contact you if they want to. Hey, I want to take my kids out, or I want to take some buddies out.
Yeah,
up to 4 people.
Right
on your boat. How do they get a hold of you?
So you can check me out at FernandezCharters.com, and you can also check me out on Facebook at Fernandez Charters and Instagram at Fernandez Charters. My phone number is 619-431-3070. And
you operate out of Mission Bay.
Yeah,
So
I'm out of Seaforth, Mission Bay, right there in the marina at right there, Seaforth Marina, right next to Seaforth Sport Fishing.
Now the big question, Pablo, are there openings for the first 4 days of the season?
I hate to be a heartbreaker, but the first night is family night.
Yeah, right.
So first night,
there's no heartbreaker there. That's an embrace.
I take my mom out.
Yeah.
Okay, my mom's how old is she now? She's gonna be. She is 84.
Wow.
So,
Your mom goes lobster fishing.
So I take her out and I let her pull the first one.
What's her name?
Every night, Elsa.
Oh, Elsa!
Cool. Yeah,
congratulations.
So I let her go out and pull the first one each and every season. So she just started kind of wanting to do it more with me. So last time we did that, she pulled the first legal lobster onto the deck, and she's going to keep that going. So
so first charter's already booked.
Yeah. So the 27th is booked. The 28th, depending on if I get my second boat back in order by then, we'll have one boat available, and then after that, it's open. I have openings.
Okay. And how much is a lobster charter? If you wanted the whole boat, take your friends out, how much is it?
So if you want the whole boat to take your friends out, it's $1,200, and that's 4 people. And I like to limit it to 4 people because it gives you a lot of room. And not only that, but it's just better to limit out 4 people than, to get 6 people. It's just a little more pressure on us and then also on them and especially that's another reason I don't typically like the open parties, because then how do you do it? They have to kind of agree on
how do you split it all out?
How do you split it all up? Because I know a lot of the bigger sport boats, what they do, it's like, that's your net, what you get is what you get.
Right.
And you can do that, but that just makes it a little contentious.
So it's like $300 a person to go 4 on the boat, and that you supply everything.
Everything. We got all of our
just bring your printer or something.
All of our Promar gear. It's all top quality stuff. I always get new gear every year from Steve here.
Dude, to pay that money and to have you as captain all set up.
Yeah.
And if you ever look at the price in the tank of live lobster. Steve's laughing already. I mean, it's minimal
if you
40.
If you get 2, you could pay for a trip.
Thank you.
Last season it topped out at like $68 a pound.
Oh,
yeah. So if you get a limit of 7, you have money in the bank.
Not that we can add that up. For sport fishing,
I'm just
exactly.
But
Yeah. But it's a great time, and the best thing about doing this hoop net thing is, number one, you're for the most part warm and dry. You can socialize.
That's
you bring,
fun.
You bring your family, you bring your children.
You see
these
stuff
kids
cool.
get the stuff you see
it's so
in these nets. I mean,
there's eels and fish and
sharks. I mean,
octopus.
I've had sharks fill up the whole net and then destroy it, chewing out, trying to get trying to dump them
like
out.
a horn shark or a
all
smooth
kinds. Yeah, exactly. All those horn sharks, smooth hounds, they all come out at night, right? All the freaks come out at night.
Yeah,
but
if you want to learn about hooping, if you have a boat and you don't know how to do it, it'd be a great lesson. You probably taught a lot of people how to do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I have forged friendships doing it too. And now I have guys that come back each and every, multiple times a month even.
Sure.
And it gets, once the ball starts rolling here, it gets so busy that, we don't have days off, and that's a good thing.
Yeah. That you're okay with that.
We're okay. We're okay with that. But,
Yeah.
But honestly, for the kids and for the family, it's the best time ever. And I'd also like to go out and do guiding trips on people that have their own boats, just not sure what to do. I've made mistakes. I'm sure you guys haven't made mistakes like I have, but I've made mistakes hoop netting up until last season. So I learn each and every time.
Sure.
So to get that map of streamlining, like, hey, man, start here. You're starting from my 25 years of making mistakes.
Right.
There it is.
Yeah. So you're learning a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. FernandezCharters.com.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's okay. That sounds good. Okay, phones have been a little slow this morning. You want to get through, have a chance to win $100 gift card to Promar Nets or PromarAhi.com or just Promar.com, right?
Correct.
Either one will work. 213-432-1090, but tons of texts.
A lot.
Like 50 or 60
There's quite a
so
few,
far.
yeah.
I have a good one here, and it's from Jay and OB, and he says, "Good morning, gentlemen. It's lobster season next week. What a great show. My question is, what is the optimal soak time to leave the nets in the water and go back and pick them up and check them to see? And does it matter? Does it matter how fast you pull the nets up?"
Good question.
Couple of good questions.
So soak time
and pulling the
and-
nets speed.
I'll let Steve answer it, and then I'll jump in on it
we'll
too.
Jump back and forth. So what I like to do, especially early in the season, the first time I go out, it varies throughout the season. Optimal soak times do vary throughout the season, but what I like to do the first time on the first set that I do is the first hoop net I'll let soak for 30 minutes. I'll go and check that, and if it looks like it hasn't been hit yet, then I won't pull the next one. I'll wait 15 more minutes, so it'll be 45 minutes on the next one. And then if I still see that there's nothing in that one, then I'll wait even longer on the third one. So basically, what I tend to do is as I work my way from 1 to 10, each one is a little bit longer of a soak time until I see the one that starts getting loaded.
That they're starting to crawl.
Yeah. So if I see on the third one or the fourth one, okay, that one's been soaking for about an hour, and that's the one that has 3-4 lobster in it. Well, now I'm going to wait an hour for the rest of the night unless I see something happen. So usually I start with about 30 minutes. And having that fresh bait has a lot to do with it. I've found that when you have fresh bait, you don't have to wait as long because those fish, lots of times my fish are still, their hearts are still beating. So that blood, as I slice them up, that blood is still dissipating out of them. It's fresh
blood, the oil, the scales, like
exactly.
everything.
So, and when that stuff's coming off of them a lot faster because they're fresh, you don't have to wait as long as what I've found. When you're using frozen stuff, that stuff is thawing out. It takes a little bit longer for that scent trail to dissipate. You might want to wait a little longer, but with fresh stuff, I've found that usually 30 minutes and I start seeing some action in my hoop.
And then what about the style of pulling, the speed?
Slow and steady. Slow and steady
100%.
is the name of the game. You don't have to try to get the hoop net as fast as you can on the boat. It's all about just
As long as you keep moving.
Exactly. Slow and steady. The last thing you want to do is pause. Any pauses?
Herky jerky
Yeah.
is horrible.
Right.
Exactly. Any
Pauses, they'll kind of jump out.
Not only, well, yes, they'll jump out, but what happens is if you look at our hoop net, you'll notice that there's a center ring at the bottom of the hoop net.
Yeah.
For those of you watching on video, you'll see the center ring, and as you're pulling it up, what happens is everything has a momentum as you're pulling it up. As soon as you stop, this bottom ring, which is designed to weigh the bottom down to keep the lobsters inside the hoop, that's still going to have momentum as you're pulling it up. So if you stop, the top rings will stop, but this bottom ring will keep going. And
Oh my God.
and look what happens as that bottom
Yeah.
ring, those lobsters are just going to get ejected.
Yeah,
out of the
they're
hoop
just
net.
like pounced
Great
out.
point.
Yeah, so you don't want to take any pauses. It's all about slow and steady. As long as it's slow and steady, then you're good. You don't have to rush people.
Now, do you guys still make weights for the bottoms if you want to add weights to that?
No, we've never made weights. I believe
those Lead Master.
Yeah, Lead Master.
They call them heavies.
HoopNet heavies. Yeah, they still make them.
Is that a good idea? I mean, to put weight in the bottom?
I think so.
Or just start heavy from the beginning.
And just get your XL.
Yeah, you can get our XL or our XL HD. I think it's a good idea if you guys are fishing in an area like Catalina. It's notorious for you get over there, you start off and it's good. You can start off with one of these, a lighter hoop net, but then as the night progressive, the current picks up and then you notice that your hoop nets start walking. Well, you can't bring more than the 10 hoop nets that you have. And if you don't have the heavy ones,
if you lose them,
exactly,
you're pretty much screwed.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest.
So
right?
it's probably a good idea if you're going somewhere like Catalina to bring something like hoop net heavies. If you're just using the standard hoop nets, to bring those along so that if you need to strap them on, I know you can just zip tie them on.
And sometimes in the bay, the tide, right?
Yeah.
Tides. If you're fishing on a big tide, they'll walk on that tide too.
The big
right?
tide swings, and also obviously we have surf to contend with a lot. And
do they walk on the tide swing, the big side swings?
Oh yeah,
yeah,
they definitely do it if you're not prepared, right? If you're not using the right
the XL
the right hoop nets, if you're not using the XL heavies, or if you, I mean, obviously you have options. You don't need to go to the end of the jetty when the waves are slamming and when the tide's ripping, right?
Yes.
And you'll know right away. You'll drop them and you'll be dropping your next one. You're like, whoa, why is that one moving? And you're just looking around and it's marching down the beach.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes it's more subtle. Sometimes it's with the surge, but you can definitely tell. I know Steve and I talked about it earlier. You can definitely tell when they're walking. When they're walking, your best thing to do right there is retrieve it immediately. And if you have a way to weigh them down and you have to be in that spot, that's fine. But if not, just fall back in or go find a spot where it's not impacting it so much.
Yeah. All right.
That's
Very
all good information.
Yeah, really good information. You have a good text. Huh?
I do, Pete, and it's kind of stepping away from the lobster thing for a second, but you mentioned the Royal Star earlier, so I had to bring this one up, right? And it comes from Tom in Salome, Arizona. Thank you, Tom, for listening from Arizona. In 1996, he won a big drawing that was a 9-day trip on the Royal Star. It changed his life for the better and is something I have never forgotten. I want to thank Let's Talk Hookup for one of the best experiences in his life, and that comes from Tom.
That's cool. He went on a long range trip and got hooked.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, just a couple openings on the Shogun, and I had to mention it.
That is so cool. Well, let's jump back on the phones.
Let's do it. How about Dan? Dan calling from Los Alamitos. Good morning, Dan.
Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, this past year I got into the hoop netting. I picked up 5 of the 32-inch Promars. And my wife and I have been going out, and she's hooked on this stuff. It's crazy.
Got the bug.
Yeah, I got the bug. We've been having a lot of fun, and so we're gonna go this Friday, the opener. But I had 5 nets before, and you got to write your Go ID on the buoys, which I know you guys are familiar with. But I picked up one more buoy, and the Go ID. Do I need to, because I think you're only allowed 5 of those per person, but now do I need to put a different Go ID on the 6th one that I'm dropping now?
So we talked about that a little bit earlier, but now the regulations have changed.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, so now you can do up to 10 on your boat.
With the same Go ID.
With the same Go ID.
Yeah. So just put your Go ID on all 10 and you're good to go. All right.
Simple enough.
Yeah, great. Thanks a lot for the call this morning. I have a great text here from Robert in Canyon Country. He says, great show. Does everyone on board still need a lobster gauge?
Oh,
yes. That's a great one. That's one of those that gets you all the time.
Yeah.
The short answer is yes.
Yeah. It has to be within reach of you too. So what I like to do is whenever I'm hooping with buddies, everybody's got it on a lanyard around their neck.
No kidding. They have to be within reach.
Yeah. So not only is it within reach, but also as Fish and Game approaches me, they see that everybody's got lobster gauges around their neck.
They see the dog tags.
Yeah. And it gives off a good sign, I think, to Fish and Game. Okay, these guys obviously know what they're doing. They have the gauges around their neck. So they all have gauges. So we start off on a good foot with Fish and Game by doing that.
Yeah.
And not only do you have enough for everybody, you have plenty of extras.
Yes.
Because those things go over.
They go over easy.
Easy.
And they get lost very easy.
Yeah, very, very easy. So you want to make sure that you have a good amount of extras on the boat at all times. So not only does everyone need to have one on their person, but have a few extras on the boat just in case.
Yeah. Eric, our officer yesterday, was talking about the importance of measuring properly. And the Promar gauges are great. They work, but he was talking about measuring from the eye socket back. Now, I usually do it the opposite way because I know if it's as soon as the eyes wiggle, it's going over the side. But how do you do it, Pablo?
Well, no, I like to do it from the eye socket back.
Yeah.
I like to hook it in the front.
That's a much more sure way.
Right. And then you got, because once it's there, it locks into place, right? So you grab the lobster, right, and you measure it, pulling it back. And if that gauge does not land on that body,
on the carapace,
the carapace, if it does not land on the carapace,
you're in trouble.
You're good.
No, he needs to go back home and grow up for us for next season, right?
And like Eric Cord mentioned yesterday, you not the hair, he said you have to be extremely careful because if that gauge does go over, he said he kind of him and hawed, like it could be, but it's got to be extremely precise.
So we have what we call. I'm sorry.
We've got what we call the let it go method.
Right. So like we have a lot of what we call clickers, right?
Right.
And what we call clickers is we pull right in between the eyes, right? We set the gauge there. We pull it towards the tail, and you're like, oh, it's legal, and you're like, hold on, let's check it, because I check every single one, unless I can tell that it's a monster.
It's 100%. Yeah.
And the monsters, I still show people to check them because now they know how to check.
Right.
And it's real fun when you use the crab side of the gauge to
and again it measures out. That's a good one
because those are good ones, right? And we'd like to do that. That's our favorite. But yeah, for sure, you got to make sure if it's clicking. I mean, there's even some that are like you can actually pick it up between the eye and the carapace. You can actually pick it up. But
do you keep that one?
You cannot. Because why? Because the gauge is off the carapace.
Okay.
So even though you're like,
so
it fits.
It could be legal, but it also could not be legal.
Well,
right.
Here's the thing: it's up to interpretation. To me, it's not. To me,
it just isn't worth it.
It's not worth it
because the gauge that the officer has is the rule.
Right.
And if the gauge the officer has, if that thing
that settles the argument,
it's over.
That settles the debate, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but here's the thing: he said too. To settle the debate further, one step further, is he said their number one written violation in their book is short lobster.
Yeah.
Period. Like, what else do we need to know?
And I also look at it like this: if you can make that thing legal, the warden can also make it illegal. So why mess around?
Why
They're called bugs for a reason, right? There's millions of them.
Yeah.
Let's just go get the big ones.
Yeah. Go find the right one.
Oh
for
my
sure.
gosh.
Yeah.
We've got Yusuf on the line there, Pete.
Oh yeah. Hey, our fishdope.com report from Yusuf Husseini, the angler's realtor, and it's sponsored by the Fish Pros at Fisherman's Processing in San Diego, where you can get the premier processing experience. Check out the easier online system to book your processing for local or long-range trips. More team members now at Fisherman's Processing means they are way ahead of everybody else. Same-day capacity is unbelievable there, and they have, of course, the best customer service and the finest processing. Stop by their location in Old Town and check it out for yourself on Taylor Street, or just check fishermansprocessing.com and make your reservation today. Good morning, Yusuf.
Good morning, Yusuf.
Yusuf, are you with us?
Here, can you hear me?
Gotcha.
Yes,
we got you
sir.
loud
Good
and clear
morning.
now. Good morning.
Awesome. You scared me.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, this fishing is definitely slowing down. These fish are becoming a little more concentrated with what is still around. Right now, we've still got a good spot of fish from the west side of Catalina out towards the Osborne there, towards the Snail. There's lots of bluefin out there. The spotter plane's been up. It's big spots. There are lots of fish being caught. Also, lots of boats pushing foamers down. It could be a little bit better, but people are running them over.
Tanner bit yesterday as well, 20 to 50 pound bluefin and some really big yellowtail. The tribute was in there. They did really well. So it's still going. You know, this isn't over yet. There is yellowfin scattered everywhere for the most part. If you're lucky enough to find them. They are, you know, down south all the way up to Catalina. They just are totally hit and miss right now. There is some fish right now. There's still a lot of bluefin and yellowtail being caught over there by the islands near SKR. Another notable catch is marlin. The Sea Watch has had 2 marlin 2 days in a row, good size ones down there off of SKR. I know some guys that were on last week on a full day, and they lost 3 marlin.
Man.
So they're around, man. They're catching them on the full day boats and the 3/4 day boats. You know, it's good. And that's about it right now, guys. It's really backing off quite a bit. Hopefully we're going to see a little more action before we get into this winter cotting.
Yeah,
I agree.
That's for sure. And of course, Yusuf, the Angler's Realtor, how's the market doing?
Market's going great. We just had a half basis point lowering of the interest rate, so it's going to start really going here. I can tell by our phones are ringing off the hook. The team's been busy all weekend, morning till night, out showing people and securing new listings for us.
That's fantastic. Awesome. Yeah, good stuff. And how do we get a hold of you if we want to buy, sell, or get more information about the Angler's Realtor?
You can get me on my cell phone at 619-277-2169 or on social media at Cal Realty. You can also check out my website, which is sportsmansrealty.com. If you have a house you're looking to sell, we have a website just for that. It's SoCalHomeEval.com, and that'll spit you out a price on your home right away, no obligation.
There you go. All right. And of course, Fishdope.com, $30 off a new membership to Fishdope.com using the code Hookup Now, lowercase, no space. Hookup Now is your $30 code to get a new membership to Fishdope.com, which is a must-have. And Yosef, thank you very much, and we'll talk to you next Sunday.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
Great report. And it's brought to us by Norsk Lithium Batteries. They're here in Southern California. Designed specifically for marine use, Norsk Lithium features prismatic sails for extreme durability, solid connections, and longevity and reliability. The Norsk Guardian Advanced Battery Management System allows you to monitor the health and charging status by using the app on your phone. And Norsk also makes a complete line of kayak and electric reel batteries. Make an investment in the best. And for your boat and with Norsk Lithium, check norsklithium.com. Go see the trolling motor doctor or Anglers Marine in LA or Anaheim or Lakeside here. Norsk Lithium batteries.
Yeah, and you can use a Norsk Lithium to power the Ace line
for the
hauler.
Brutus.
Absolutely, yeah, that works great.
Those things are so cool.
Yeah, they are.
What do they retail for? You think?
I think they're like $550 range, something like that. Is that about right, Steve?
$500 to $600.
Yeah, but they're not cheap. But like I said, I've had this one for 10 years.
Pete, look at the price of a damn lobster.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? If you're going out and getting a limit for your family, are you kidding me?
Wait a minute. Look at the price of surgery on your shoulders.
There it is.
Right?
Yeah. Versus
it's a lot more than $550.
Versus now working for you.
Pulling those, right? Take it from an old guy here. Hey, Jacob from Spring Valley says, great show today, guys. So question about pulling pots and line angle. I think this is a really good one. When the tide is going in and out and the line angle isn't vertical, is it better to pick up the slack and get the line vertical before pulling or just pull fast and steady to get the pots up? Your thoughts?
Well, I think that we addressed this earlier with our clips and our weighted clips that we have.
Yeah.
When you put that on the not the
slack, the tag end.
Yeah, you put not on the tag. You put it on the tag end on the other side of the buoy, on the square part of the buoy or the flat part of the buoy.
Right.
And that's going to keep your line up and down no matter what.
Right.
Okay. That's why we put those weights on there, because it runs through. You guys can picture it running through from our hoop net. It comes up to the buoy, to the cone part of the buoy, and then it runs through, and then it comes to the flat end of the buoy. And on that, no matter how much slack you have, if you have a weighted clip, it's going to be up and down. So the buoy's going to be there. The line's going down. The line's on both sides, right? One side down to the hoop net, one side to your extra line that you have. And that's going to have the weight on it. And that's going to prevent you from having that line either slacking out or paying out or flowing all over the place, or being at a 45 or even less of an angle to where it's a hazard now for everybody.
And the Eclipse net, really, for pulling purposes, eliminates the issue. Like, you can pull it at an angle, you can pull it at a funky angle, where when they laid flat on the bottom, you had to be straight up and down perfectly.
Yeah, absolutely. The ambush makes it really easy because it has those walls around it.
Right.
Yes.
That makes it harder for the lobster. They can get out, but it makes it harder.
That's the term, ambush?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
the Eclipse are the old collapsible
Yeah,
ones.
exactly.
Okay. Do you still make those?
No longer
No.
make those. These
Yeah.
basically took over.
Well, yeah,
took
it's
over
so
the
much
market. But
easier, yeah.
one thing to note is that you always want to pull with the line vertically over, basically directly over the hoop net.
The best you can.
Yes, because if you're pulling at an angle, if there's any structure, which we're typically fishing structure, right? If there's any angle on that line, there's a potential for that hoop net to be caught into the structure. And
Right.
it's like an anchor,
right?
You know, when you're pulling that anchor in an angle into the structure, then you're going to lose that anchor.
Yeah, and you could lose your hoop that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And a little anger involved after that.
Yeah.
And as the boat captain, whoever is operating your vessel, it's really important. I mean, depends on the size of your boat and all that, but I like to back into them. That's a technique that we share on your saltwater guide. Back into all of the hoop nets, and then you back up to where they are vertical, and you try to keep them vertical as much as possible.
Gotcha.
And then that way you try not to drag them across the bottom, right? It's no different than like rock fishing. You know, you don't want it paying out, 90 degrees to the boat, and you're just dragging it across the bottom. You're going to get hooked up, to the bottom, not what you want to get hooked up to.
Trying to eliminate all the issues.
Yeah.
Right.
So get that thing, and as the captain of that vessel, you keep that thing straight up and down. That way, whoever's pulling is straight up and down. They're not going to encounter any problems.
So your method is you back up into it and then keep backing because the line's going to be slack. So you're backing into it and then you keep backing up until it's vertical.
So I like to back up, and I like to pull them all on my starboard side, because that way I can just look over my shoulder,
right,
and I can see right there. You got your lights on, everything. You can see them right there in the corner pulling, and I can tell which way it's going. If I need to make adjustments, if you have twin screws, single screw, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
However
on a bigger boat, that's really important too.
Yeah, it's really important because that gives you the most control.
Yeah.
And that gives you the best view. And then where your boat ends. It ends right there, and you can see it. You can see if you're close to the jetty or other hazards on the boaters.
Such great information.
Steve, how do you do it?
I do it similar, but one thing to note, I know a lot of people. I've had a guy actually call in the office and said, "Hey, I tried backing down on them, and they ended up in my prop." Well,
yes.
The issue with that was he wasn't doing it. He didn't have his the hoop nets rigged the way that we recommend to rig them with it, which is like we mentioned already. You want that slack line getting sunken out with a sinker, with our clip-on sinker. If you're just letting your slack line float on the water and you're backing down, well, yeah, that's going to cause an issue. But you want to make sure that you're rigging up your hoop nets the best way, which is by sinking out all that excess line
on the back side of the buoy.
Yeah, on the back side of the buoy, because now all the rope that you have is straight up and down from wherever that float is on the surface. You don't have to worry about your props hitting any rope because all that excess rope is sunken out.
It's such a simple theory, and it might be difficult to understand. I mean, you have the videos, right?
Exactly. Yeah, everything, like I said,
everything we're talking about
is on our Lobster resources page on our website. So make sure to check those out. We'll teach you everything that you need to know from A to Z in regards to lobster.
Because the theories are extremely simple. It's just understanding. It's getting it across, and once you see it, it's a no-brainer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one thing you need to be aware of too is not everybody is smart enough to use the Promar or the Jim Salazar method of sinking out their lines. And be aware of those guys that are fishing around you that have these big major slack lines, because those will go very easily into your prop.
I deal with those all the time.
It's ridiculous.
And it's such a hazard. And then what's even better is when they're right on top of your hoop net.
Oh yeah.
And then yours are good to go, and now I got to deal with theirs. And and heaven forbid if you start moving their lines, all of a sudden they come up on you. Hey, you're pulling my traps. I'm like, dude, I'm not touching anything of yours. I'm just trying to get your line away from my from my line. That's it, bro.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Is when you're out there and you see people hooping, and if you're new to it and you see that it looks like there's a good amount of space between one guy's sets, well, he's not doing that so somebody else could come in and set there.
Right.
He's doing it for safety purposes. If he's on a bigger boat, he needs that space to be able to get in there safely and grab his hoop net. So just be conscious of that when you're out there and you see somebody leaving enough space for their boat to get in there. That doesn't mean you go in there and put your hoop nets
in between them. Yeah.
Right.
Because there's a lot of scope too on those too, because especially if there's tide and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The hoop could be 50 feet away or 40 feet away from where the buoy is. So just be considerate to others.
Exactly.
Don't set. There's plenty of room in the bays and the ocean.
Yeah.
You don't need to set on top of somebody else.
Right.
Find your own place. Yeah, like Captain Dave always says, don't follow the sport boats, right?
That's right. Yeah, you don't want to fish for boats, and you don't want to fish for other people's hoop nets.
Yeah,
that's perfect. With that being said, we're going to be right back. You're listening to Southern California Sport Fishing Voice. When we return, we've got some calls, texts, and more on a Let's Talk Hookup app and the Sports Grid Radio Network.
This is Pete, and I hear it all the time. That
Can I run the
Jim
ticket?
and Mary at Poway Valley Collision are amazing. I took my car to Poway Valley Collision, mentioned Let's Talk Hookup, and they gave us VIP treatment, fixed our car, and even gave us a special price. Believe me when I say Poway Valley Collision is worth the drive from anywhere in the Southland. At some point, your car will need a body repair, and I'm confident in saying it pays to go to Poway Valley Collision. Our listeners can save hundreds of dollars on your next car or truck repair. They work with most insurance companies, including Auto Club, MetLife, Wawanesa, and more. All you do is call Jim, Mary, or any of their team members, and they do all the rest. No hassles, just top-notch work and VIP treatment. When you take your car or truck to Poway Valley Collision, the job and experience will be top-notch. Get it fixed right at Poway Valley Collision, 14211 Garden Road in Poway. Check PowayValleyCollision.com. The best just got better. Shimano is proud to introduce the all-new Talica 20A and 25A reels. The Talica series is Shimano's flagship two-speed lever drag reel. It sits at the very pinnacle of the offshore world. The Shimano's Talica success is driven by its durability and spec attributes, allowing the series to differentiate from other lever drag reels within the market. The Talica is built around a cold-forged machined aluminum one-piece frame. The all-new Talica 20A and 25A now boasts Infinity Drive. Infinity Drive employs two drag washers housed in the side of the reel, allowing for an ultra-smooth, powerful drag system, while at the same time increasing winding power under a load as much as 40%. There's also a new lower low gear. If your utmost concern is performance without compromise, Talica 20A and 25A are the reels for you. Available now at your local Shimano dealer. Hey, San Diego, the Make It Ford Summer Sales event is on. Visit your San Diego County Ford dealers now and make it your best summer yet. Amazing offers and great selection of Ford vehicles, like the Built Wild Bronco family, with a deal you just can't miss. Your biggest adventures are awaiting. Make it Ford, make it yours, make it now. Only at your San Diego County Ford dealers. They'll be glad to hook you up.
Quality, the Islander out of Fisherman's Landing is a favorite among anglers. But Islander Charters is much more than great fishing. The quality of the captains and crew, as well as the great meals and service, speak for themselves. Comfortable staterooms, a super clean and well taken care of boat are just a few of the reasons the Islander is so popular. The Islander specializes in 1.5 to 5 day fishing. Experience the Islander difference. Visit IslanderSportFishing.com.
All right, welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup. Man, so much lobster talk. It's crazy.
Ooh, yeah.
Right?
Hey, if you're looking at
Lobster.
the our YouTube and Facebook, Let's Talk Hookup Radio Show on YouTube, Let's Talk Hookup Radio Show on Facebook, you can see the Royal Polaris loading up the passengers right now on that on the cam that we have outside, and then we'll jump back in the studio now with our cam, and of course you can always see the video on the back bottom corner there. But great show here with Steve and Pablo from Promar, and talking lobsters. We don't get to talk. I love lobster fishing.
Right?
I
Who
dig it.
doesn't?
Yeah,
Come
I
on.
really dig it. And it's not so much. It's great to have the lobsters, but it's just being out on at night, and being, whether you're in the bay or at Catalina, which is really cool. It's just being out in the ocean at night, and then just the the
excitement,
the excitement and the mystery of every time. It's like a prize in every. It's like Cracker Jacks, like a prize in every package when you pull up the net. You know, it's either
never know.
You never know what could be in there, right? And it can get pretty exciting.
And the prize is tasty.
Yeah, the prize is tasty. Yeah, no question about it.
I have a good text, Pete, that actually leads that kind of complements that, and it comes from Matt. And Matt says, "Morning, guys, great show. Roundtable question: what's everyone's largest lobster?"
Oh man,
how about that? We'll start with Pablo.
My largest one. I mean, I haven't gone big like like state records or anything like that. I believe
like Long Beach Harbor type thing.
Yeah,
No.
I mean Long Beach Harbor. It seems like the dinosaurs live up there, right? We get some down here, but me personal, my biggest one's only 12 pounds.
That's a big one. Yeah,
and that's
only 12 pounds.
Well,
Jumbo.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, come on. I mean, they get huge, right? I mean, the biggest ones up there are, I think,
18.
Kelly Hansen holds that one still. I
17 or 18 pounds.
Yeah, it's like 18 something,
Wow.
But
now, do you keep that 12 pounder?
Oh no, you throw it right back. Of course you keep it. That's gonna feed your family for a week.
Yeah. And what about you, Steve? What's your largest?
I haven't caught. Actually, I saw probably a 15-pounder last season on the outside of our hoop.
Wow.
Really?
And just
because he couldn't get in?
Yeah. And just as he got to the surface of the water,
let go.
He let go.
Which is just fine, right?
Yeah.
Was that the one where they stopped pulling on that one, or no?
No,
that was a different one with Justin.
Yeah,
right?
Justin saw a big. I think his was even bigger.
His was a monster. This thing was like
it would literally was on the entire hoop.
The whole
Is that
top of
the
the
whole
net.
top of the hoop?
Yeah.
And then they stopped pulling for a second because they were like freaking out at how big it was.
And it just let go.
Oh.
As soon as the air hit them.
Yeah, mine. The one that I saw was probably 14 to 15 pounds, and Justin's was like 18.
Yeah,
crazy. Holy mackerel!
Huge.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
crazy.
The biggest one I've ever caught is not very big. It's only about 8 pounds.
Which is fine,
Only
right?
8 pounds? That's a good one.
Come on.
Yeah,
that's a jumbo. But for eating purposes, I mean, that's kind of reaching for me anyway.
Yeah.
Like reaching the limit. Kind
Yeah.
of. What
for
about
sure.
you, Pete?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I like those. Those smaller ones. Those like legal ones and the 2-pounders. That's the ones I like to eat.
Back in the day, I had a one just under 13 pounds, and I had diving. Check this out. I had two that weighed 22 pounds. I had a diving. By hand, 10 3/4 and an 11.
That's
and
a
half.
sea monster.
Or 11 1/4 and 10 3/4, somewhere in there.
Wow.
22 pounds for 2 lobsters.
For 2
diving.
lobsters. That's a good
Wow,
one.
man, that's
Jumbo.
great.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to grab them.
Yeah.
The horn.
Yeah, just grab them and hold on, right?
Yeah.
Take it
Hold
for a
on,
ride. Let's jump into the phone.
Let's do it. How about Darren? Darren calling from Menifee. Good morning, Darren.
Hey, good morning, guys. What's up, Pablo?
Hey, brother, what's happening?
Hey, things are going good. Love the show, guys. Something I've been fishing with Pablo. He is awesome. Something I wanted to talk about was family and kids. What's cool about Pablo is you have tons of spots in the harbor, right, Pablo? So there's plenty of nice, calm weather for the kids to hang out in.
Yeah, that's right. And just for everybody listening, Darren's been fishing with me. I've actually met him through Saltwater Guide, and we've become friends. And he comes fishing with me all the time. And a lot of times he's just buddy boating, and he'll be right there with me. We're whacking the same kind of fish or whatever, or he's out there hooping. He's still trying to get some of my older nets, I believe, right? My older hoop nets. And but yeah, he's a great guy. And a point that he's making now is inside the harbor, the commercial guys wish they could come inside the harbor. And Captain Dave Hansen talks about this all the time. They would give their right arm or their firstborn, to get inside that harbor, because they're crawling inside Long Beach Harbor, inside everywhere, every harbor they're crawling, inside San Diego Harbor, Mission Bay. They would love the opportunity to get in there. And yeah, we can. The worse the weather is, the better, right? Because these guys, they want cover, right? They don't want to be ambushed. They want to cruise out. That's why they don't like it when the water's super clear and the moon's out, because every spotlight's on them. It's like, oh, look, the tasty spiny lobster. Guess who wants to eat them? Everybody.
Yeah.
Everybody underwater wants to eat those guys too. So yeah, inside the harbor, smooth, calm, plenty of places to get them, to fish for them.
And what a great thing to do with kids.
It's the best thing to do.
Yeah.
Like we keep saying, you never know what's inside that net.
Yeah.
We
Kids
truly
love
don't know.
it.
Yeah. Horn
Yeah.
sharks, like you were saying.
Right. I mean, all kinds of cool stuff.
Yeah. Octopus,
You
octopi,
catch
whatever.
all
You know,
kinds of cool stuff.
all kinds of fish.
Eels.
I mean, eels. Yeah. I mean,
I've got to read a live text that just came through right now. No name, but it's pertinent to this. How is lobster?
So no name,
season?
so no prize for
No,
you.
I know
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Right.
No
You got to
name,
include
prize,
the name.
no prize, no name.
But it's about chartering Pablo here. And how is the lobster season in November, December for a family charter?
Oh well, it's excellent.
That's my favorite time.
It really is.
Yeah, yours too, right, Steve? Yeah.
Later in the season,
We shouldn't say that,
right?
though.
I know. I prefer fishing later in the season. There's less people, and it's usually the crawl progresses. For me, at least, what I've seen, the crawl does get a little bit better. It's just knowing
the water's going down in temperature, and they come back in and get shallow or whatever it is. It's more active.
It's just about knowing the right places to go, but it can be every bit as productive as early in the season.
Yeah, a lot of people think, oh, if I don't go out the first few days of the season, those 4 days you get a jump on the commercial guys. Oh, I'm going to miss out. No, the best time to go is when you can go. We keep a pulse on it. I'm not going to, waste your time, waste my time. I'll tell you, hey, this has been the trend. I'm out each and every day. This is the trend. They didn't crawl till midnight last night.
Yeah.
Or they were crawling
at sunset.
Right at sunset.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you exactly what we need to target, and we'll adjust the times accordingly.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that they crawl at some point in the night.
Right.
You don't know whether it's going to be midnight or you don't know whether it's going to be right at sunset.
Exactly.
But you just got to go when you can.
Yeah. But and just like anything, when you're out each and every day, you have a pulse
you know
on it. You know when the fish are going to stop biting at South Island.
Right.
Now. You kind of get a feeling if you've been there every day.
Right.
Not to say it's an exact science, but if you have a pulse on it, you know the trend.
Dude, you get me fired up. Seriously,
I'm fired up.
You're gonna have
you don't think I want to
go, Cory?
I know. I'd love to
go on the Steiger. Yeah,
Golden Nuggets, man.
Yeah. Hey, Mark from Canton, Ohio. It's a little far for you to go lobster fishing there, but has a question. Does Promar make something that you could fish lobsters off the rocks and in the harbors?
Yeah, so you can use all of our hoop nets for the most part. A lot of guys use our flat style hoop nets when they're fishing off of jetties or piers. Yeah, just because those are a little bit easier for the lobsters to get into them. It's a little bit easier for them to get out as well because they don't have the walls, the conical style walls, but it's easier for them to get in. So if you're fishing off of a pier or a jetty or something like that, or docks, slips, whatever, you don't have to soak it as long. And you can leave it in there for 15 minutes or maybe even shorter, depending on what you're using for bait and how well the night is doing for you. But the lay flats are probably more preferred for that type of fishing than our ambush style hoop nets. If you're fishing off
the rocks.
Yeah. And that's what makes it fun, right? You don't need the 3 outboard juiced up boat, to go get them. You could have a kayak, you could have a rowboat,
and
paddleboard. Hello.
Yeah, you ever seen anybody hoop from a paddleboard?
Absolutely. Redondo, inside Redondo Beach every year, it seems like there's at least 2 or 3 guys that are out there on their paddleboard.
Yeah.
It's not a rich man's kind of deal.
No, and here's the funny thing. It's just like anything, right? The grass is always greener. You see the boat guys trying to park up on top of the jetties, and then you see the guys that are on the jetties trying to throw them out as far as they possibly can.
Yeah, right.
You know what, guys? These things crawl. They don't just stay in their house and wait for Uber Eats to bring them something, right? You got to present the bait in the best possible way, and they're crawling from jetty to jetty. They're crawling up and down. They're every which way but sideways, right? Or even sideways.
Yeah, right.
But it's a funny thing though. You really see that. You see the guys on the jetties throwing them out as far as you can. Guys on the boats trying to hit the jetty with their boats. But here's the thing. If you are on the shore and if you're using the flat like Steve recommended, or if you're using one of the regular ambush nets that we all use, you can always you can throw them out and you can have like a little tagline, right? That way you can always pull them in if you really want to get them out that far. But honestly, right up off the jetty is a great place to be, 15, 20 feet of water. I mean,
there you go.
You've got a really good chance. If you're listening and it's something you want to go try,
But just be careful. In the
Well,
jetty.
be careful,
Yeah.
yeah. But there's
Yeah.
areas. I mean, Mission Bay, like by the lifeguard area,
Yeah,
very calm and
protected.
Yeah.
Hey, let's
But-
not talk about that area, okay?
I know. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, you can go out there and you see all the skin divers hitting those areas.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah.
So you know that it's like you said, it's real prime real
productive.
estate.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's jump back on the phones,
Let's
Corey.
do it. How about Randy? Randy calling from Costa Mesa. Good morning, Randy. Appreciate you joining us on Let's Talk Hookup.
Good morning, you guys. Great show with lots of info. My question is regarding the line. Like, I know you can use the braided nylon, the yellow nylon line, but what about the more sophisticated kind of commercial type line? What do you guys think?
So
commercial style, yeah.
So I think you're talking about the lead core line, the stuff that sinks out on its own. You don't have to add. I actually prefer using lead core line. It's a little bit more expensive when you're rigging everything up. But then you don't have to worry about it not sinking out, and it's a little bit safer. The poly line is also pretty good. It's very good. But if you're doing this a lot, and if you're doing it often, or if you're doing it a lot, and you want to just deal with not deal with the line floating on the surface or having to clip on an additional sinker on there, then definitely go with the lead core line.
Does Promar make lead core line?
Yes.
Oh, you
we
do?
Yeah,
Okay.
we make it. I believe the shortest amount we make it in is 100 foot, and we make that all the way up to 1,200 feet.
Wow.
Shots.
So you can buy a whole spool of it.
Yeah, if you want to buy a 1,200 foot roll and then just cut the sections, or if you want to buy multiple 100-foot rolls, you can do either or. But I definitely recommend it for the guys that are doing this often. Switch over to that lead core. That's going to be a lot better.
Oh, it'll help you.
Is that what you use, Pablo?
Yeah, I use both. And like I was talking to Steve, I'm actually going to get some of the heavier hoop nets for this season, just because of things that we contend with, like the surf and the tide and all those things.
Right.
Why not? Right.
Yeah.
Are you going to go with the XL or the Super XL? Or what did you call it?
Well,
XL HD.
Yeah. So the double ringed ones, those are really, really good. But obviously, we're gonna have something like the Brutus here to assist you with those.
Yeah.
Because man, no matter how strong you think you are,
23 pounds.
23
That's
pounds.
the XL HD is 23.
Yeah.
And what is the XL
13.
13.
13. The other ones are what? 5 point. What are they?
The regular XLs are only about 6.5 pounds.
6.5, and then 13, and then 25. So when you go from that 13 to 25, I mean, when you go from 6 and you're used to pulling 6 all the time, and you go to 13, you notice it.
Oh yeah.
I've had people complain about pulling 6,
right?
A 6-pound hoop net. So I can't imagine those 13s and 23s.
Ace line hauler. Once you go ace, you never go back.
Right?
Yeah.
So,
but if you're pulling by yourself, I remember one of the things I used to do. New poly is like the worst nightmare. It's slick and it's slippery.
Yeah.
I would actually take a knife and run it up and down, but you could take sandpaper and cup it and pull it through.
Oh,
you understand what I'm saying? And just rough it up just a little bit, and it'll help you like night and day.
Well,
like,
or just wear your gloves and take big bites. You know, you grab it and take a bite and pull.
But
grab it, take a bite and pull.
Roughing it up just a little bit will make it like 10 times
Especially,
easier.
that's something to consider when you do have a puller, because if you rough it up, then it grips it better on that pull.
Yeah.
Pro
for
tips
sure.
right there, man.
Yeah. Hey, John in La Mesa says Pablo is awesome. Went out on his boat to hoop for lobster. Learned a lot. He had great gear. All Ahi Promar stuff. So, John's a fan.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
That's fantastic. Well, let's jump back on the phones, Corey.
Let's do it. Let's see here. About is that Cliff? Cliff from Culver City.
Hi, Cliff. Morning, Cliff.
Or Tony from San Diego? Does JP got us?
JP?
Yeah. Hey, how's it going?
All
right.
Who is this?
Tony.
Tony. Hi, Tony.
Yeah, Tony.
Tony.
Good morning. Appreciate you joining us on Let's Talk
you
Hookup.
guys? All right. Hey, Pablo, watch out for that guy. He's a slayer. I do have a quick question for you guys. I grew up on Eastern Shore of Maryland doing blue crabs.
Oh.
Does Promar offer something that could actually fish for blue crab that I can get to some of my fishing buddies over there?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do a bunch of different, we don't only focus on Promar. We do a little bit of, we don't only focus on lobster. We do a little bit of everything. We have Dungeness crabs. We have blue crab traps. We do stone crab traps, rock crab traps. We have a little bit of everything. So if you happen to go on our website, promarahi.com, and go under the crab pot section, you'll find, like I said, everything from blue crab traps all the way up to Dungeness crab traps and lobster crab traps. So we try to cover every aspect of fishing.
That's kind of cool. And so we have to thank you for the call there, Tony, too.
Yeah, thanks, Tony.
I saw a couple texts that were asking about along that line. And thanks again to Jim Salazar, the big crayfish in the Sierra, right?
Yeah,
crayfish traps.
Exactly. Crawdad traps, crawfish traps, everything. He goes up there every year and he sends us pictures of these boils that he does that makes us all jealous,
right?
But he used to do all of our crawfish seminars at all the shows as well.
How tasty are those things? I always love to do it. Have you had them, Pete?
I not in the Sierras, but Jim's always telling me, send me pictures. They look delicious,
especially
but
the
I've
ones
had
up
regular
there.
crayfish.
Yeah, the ones up there are so clean because the water's nice and cold and clean. Yeah,
nice and firm.
It's got my attention.
Let's go. I'm hungry.
Let's do it.
All right, hey, we're gonna be right back. Somebody's gonna not be hungry at the end of the show because we're giving away 2 $100 certificates to Promar Ahi when we return on the Let's Talk Hookup app and the Sports Grid Radio Network.
Everyone has their go-to fishing spot. My spot is Kingfisher Charters in Sitka, Alaska. Rock Cod Rick here to say if you're looking for the ultimate Alaska experience, the best value in Alaska, it's Kingfisher Charters. Owner Seth Bone and his crew consistently deliver deluxe accommodations, the finest food, world-class fish processing, and top-of-the-line fishing experience. We've literally sent hundreds of our listeners to Kingfisher, and they all can't wait to go back. Most Alaska resorts make big promises, and they don't deliver, or they'll nickel and dime you to drive up the cost, but not Kingfisher. Everything is included. Your license, fish processing, super deluxe accommodations, amazing food, airport transfers, your gear, literally all you need to bring is your layer clothing, and Kingfisher covers the rest. They also have the finest boats and charter captains in Sitka, all for the ultimate value. Take it from me, book your trip to Kingfisher Charters and you'll thank me. Kingfisher Charters, 800-727-6136 or check kingfishercharters.com. When it comes to fishing rods for saltwater, there's just one name you need to know, CalStar. Take, for example, the Graphiter series. It's a true graphite and fiberglass composite rod, the finest it's ever been built. And for anglers seeking traditional performance, durability, and quality at an affordable price, the CalStar West Coast series of rods and blanks are the ones for you. Their master craftsmen bring decades of rod building experience to every rod they make. So if you want your fishing rods to be truly state-of-the-art, I always recommend CalStar at fine tackle stores everywhere.
There are moments that change our perception of what is and isn't possible. Cosmic shifts where the stars align with the earth to alter how we see the world. The release of King Tide is one of those moments. This is the crowning achievement of Costa's 40-year legacy on the water, the culmination of every innovation and lessons learned up until this point. Wins and losses and highs and lows have brought us here to stand witness to a legacy brought to life, to achieve the ultimate potential on the water. Costa King Tide, rule the water.
For your next fishing adventure, check Point Loma Sport Fishing. They offer half-day and full-day trips daily, perfect for families and the novice or seasoned fishermen. Point Loma Sport Fishing also offers overnight to multi-day trips, targeting the best of seasonal catches. Visit PointLomaSportFishing.com, where you can purchase tickets online and get more information on the trips available, or call 619-223-1627. Want to go fishing? Point Loma Sport Fishing has you covered.
All right, welcome back to Let's Talk Hookup, and we don't have to flip the coin today, Pete.
Yeah, everybody's a winner.
Right, well, we've
Not
got a
everybody,
texter
2
and a caller,
Yeah.
and our texter is Jacob in Spring Valley, and our caller is Dan in Los Alamitos. Both of you have won a $100 certificate to Promar Ahi.
Shopping spree.
Right.
Yeah. Now you have an event going on there, right, Steve?
That's right. So every year we try to do something in regards to the lobster season and some form of contest. And this year we're doing a photo contest. It's completely free. And the way to enter is by going posting on Instagram and hashtagging Promar24. Now, when you post on Instagram, all you have to do is post a photo of your ambush hoop net. It could be any model of our ambush hoop net with a legal lobster in it, and then do that Promar hashtag. So hashtag Promar24.
So any model of ambush hoop net.
Yeah.
and just Promar24 on Instagram.
Yeah,
with
it has to have
hashtag Promar24.
Yeah, and then if you hashtag your favorite retailer, so wherever you shop, wherever you buy your Promar lobster gear at, whether it's Turner's Outdoors, Performance Tackle, or anywhere in between, hashtag the tackle store, and that's an additional entry. And there's no limit to how many entries you can do, guys. So you can do 7 every night, 10 every night. It doesn't matter. If you and your buddies get a bunch of lobster.
And a chance to win this, are you kidding? $500 worth
$500 every month. So every month of
every month
of
it's
the
not a
season.
one-time.
Exactly.
Right.
Every month of the season, you have a chance to win $500 of product. So if you go in October and you hoop net 5 nights and you do a bunch of submissions for that night and you don't win in October, all those submissions you did in October are still good for the entire season.
Incredible
Great.
stuff, Steve.
Yeah. Hey, and Pablo, if somebody wants to go fishing with you,
FernandezCharters.com, 619-431-3070. Check me out on Facebook and Instagram.
all right. And of course, the Promar Ahi website.
PromarAhi.com and Promar Ahi on social media.
All right. Very good. Thank you, guys. Great show. And thank you, Cory, for being here today. And thank you all for being out there. Thanks to JP for manning the phones and the board. And thanks to Adam for all he does on the Hookup app and website. Sure appreciate you out there. Captain Tim Ekstrom from the Royal Star next Saturday. And then Captain Dave and Tiffany Bacon, expert custom rod builders. And Dave's quite the fisherman there in the Channel Islands too, next Saturday and Sunday. Thanks for listening today. We'll see you next week. Right back here, 10:90 a.m. Let's Talk Hookup app and Facebook and YouTube Live. And of course, the Sports Grid Radio Network.
All right.
Awesome, guys. Thank you.